for June 20th, 2023. If, as a reminder, please remember that this is a public meeting and it's being recorded, so if you are calling in on your phone, please mute your line. We will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You waiting for everybody to get out of their seat now?
Commissioner Boyce,
Because people still be sitting there. Inside joke. I got it. I love it though.
sorry about that. All right.
Inside joke.
So, every season, 3 times a year, my colleagues and I like to recognize the state champion athletes from Franklin County and some of the surrounding counties and area high schools as well. Once a year, we also like to recognize scholar athletes, or our scholar artisan scholars as well. But today we have some students here from the spring sports, kids that have excelled in track and field, girls and boys lacrosse, boys tennis, and boys volleyball. So it's a privilege for us to partner with, once again, the Greater Columbus Sports Commission and the Ohio High School Athletic Association to recognize these outstanding athletes. So we welcome all of you this morning, all of the students and their families, friends, coaches, administrators here with us this morning. And so to kick things off, we'd like to have our great friend, she knows the drill, from the Executive Director of the Greater Columbus Sports Commission, Linda Logan.
Good morning, everyone, commissioners, administrators. Congratulations to our state champions, their coaches, their administrators, their families, and friends that are here with us today. It's always an honor to be here to really celebrate the best and the brightest from our area. We're very proud to host events in Columbus and also around the state to welcome these great athletes in their journey, not only in their studies, but in their athletic careers as well. So pleased to have 10 high schools represented, as Commissioner O'Grady said, in those 4 sports. So again, on behalf of the Greater Columbus Sports Commission and Doug Ute, the Commissioner of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, who could not join us today, again, congratulations and thanks for having us.
Thank you, Linda. Now, the spring sports are always a little bit different because school's out. So we get, some kids, understandably don't show up because they've got other things going on. They may be traveling, they may be participating in some sort of a summer sport, or they may just be done. So, so what we'll do this morning, and so they may not be here with us today. And so what we'll do this morning, if you don't mind, is I'll allow my colleagues to say a few words first, and then we'll introduce folks. And if they aren't with us today, that's okay. We'll recognize them anyway. But I'm going to go ahead and defer to the commissioners to say a few words.
Okay, thank you, President O'Grady. And I just want to say to all the student athletes that are here today for this very auspicious occasion in terms of your recognition on your achievement, congratulations. Congratulations to your families, your friends, and all of your network that's in the ecosystem of why you're here today. And I love saying as a former athlete myself, as a former athlete, a Division I college athlete myself, what I know for sure about life is that the things that you learn on the athletic field or course or whatever it is, whatever sport you play, very much so translate into life. And whether it's what it takes to be committed to something, waking up on time, taking care of yourself, doing all the other things that allow you to participate in your sport. And then finally, and maybe most importantly in terms of translation, is competing every day. I can't think of a day that I don't get up and get at it in my job every day or in life where I'm not competing in some way or another. And so the things that you learned in your respective sports are very much things that will translate to you in life. And I hope that you take it very seriously and enjoy the experience of being on top and winning. Not everyone gets to be all-state. Not everyone gets to be titled champion. And that is a unique and special designation in itself because it's not given, it's earned. And I hope very much you realize in life, earning, it doesn't have to be the title champion or whatever, winner or whatever, but earning a position in life that says I've worked to get to this point and I'm going to do it with dignity and grace and strength and all of the things that make it work. Those are the things that will define you as human. Those are the things that will define you as a sister or a brother or a father or a mother, uncle or aunt, or whatever it is you designate yourself as. And so congratulations once again, and on a fine job well done. It's certainly earned, and you deserve all the recognition. And good luck to you and Godspeed in your future endeavors. Thank you.
If I may, President O'Grady, thank you. Congratulations. I mean, I would just echo the sentiments of my colleague, Commissioner Boyce. I, too, played sports. I played softball for 10 years. I played for my high school. And then I have a daughter who played volleyball through high school and then a club this past season for the University of Kentucky. And you know, what Commissioner Boyce said is so true. What I learned as an athlete, or I even see in my daughter and my other daughter was in gymnastics for a number of years, is teamwork. It's less I and more we, right? And that follows you. It followed me in the military and then in my career. That will be the same for you, even whatever you go on to do after this. Discipline, commitment, and that you never get anywhere alone, right? Like that it takes a village to be as successful as you are, to be state champions, whether it's your teammates and your coaches, but your family, your family, your friends who show up every day to support you and, continue to cheer you on, even long after you leave high school and do the next thing. And so I just want to encourage you to keep going and keep doing whatever it is that your heart desires or what feels good to your soul. If it's continuing to play sports, I'm your cheerleader, we are your cheerleaders. But if it's something else, just remember that everything that you have learned along the way absolutely will apply to that next thing. And so just want to say congratulations, and you always have friends here at the Board of Commissioners.
So I would always like to say two things to the student athletes. Thank you. I always like to say two things. Some of you have been here before. I recognize some faces in the crowd. So you've heard this before from me, but we started doing this 15 years ago when I first became a county commissioner because when I was a kid your age, I was on a state championship team, and Columbus City Council had us down, and they recognized our state championship, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world, that they brought us down and recognized us for our achievement. And so when I became a commissioner, I wanted to do that for the kids that are in your position, because I remembered what a great thing that was, and how all of us at the time were really proud to be recognized by the community leaders for the achievement that we had had. And so and I knew how proud I was for all of the effort that we had all put in individually for that state championship. But the couple of things that I wanted to remind, along with my colleagues, that I wanted to say to you guys is this. This state championship that you have, whether it's an individual state championship or a team state championship, all of the work that you put in and the accomplishment that you have, as fantastic as it is, it should just be a stepping stone. It should just be a leaping off place in your life. This should not be the greatest achievement of your life. It should just be the first or one of the first great achievements in your life. Don't grow up to be our age, my age. Actually, these guys like to remind everybody that I'm the senior guy up here. I'm a little older, or a lot older than some of the folks up here. But you don't want to get to our place in life and have this achievement be the single greatest thing that you've ever done with your life. You want to use this as the stepping stone or the jumping off point for a lot of great achievements in your life. You want this championship to be the thing that catapults you to many, many great things and is a basis for many great achievements throughout the course of your life. So make this state championship be something that really is a basis for many great things throughout the course of your life, number one. And number two, as my colleagues have reminded you, there's a lot of people that helped you get where you are. You know, I didn't realize that when I was your age. I didn't think about all the all the dedication that everybody else around me put in for me to be successful. But now as a parent, you know, I think about it all the time because, you know, tomorrow, for instance, my wife and I we've canceled the rest of our plans for the rest of the week. We've spent a lot of money for the rest of the week, and we're going to drive off to Chattanooga, Tennessee tomorrow. Why, I don't know, because, you know, Chattanooga, Tennessee, of all places. We're going to drive off to Chattanooga, and we're going to spend the weekend with my daughter as she plays in a travel softball tournament because she wants to play college softball someday. Next week, we're going to do the exact same thing, and on Wednesday next week, we're going to drive over to Indianapolis, and we're going to spend a weekend at a softball tournament in Indianapolis because she wants to play college softball, and that's what she does. And that's what, as parents, that's what we do. You know, and that's what, you know, and her brother has to sacrifice because he's going to be at home all weekend by himself. You know, actually, I think it's not really much of a sacrifice for him. But that's what families do. That's what people do for all of you, because we love you, because your parents love you, because your siblings love you, because we want to support you guys in your ability to be able to achieve the dream that you have of winning a state championship, going off to college and performing and achieving your dreams and your goals. So don't forget those people, whether it's a mom and a dad, a little brother, big sister, little sister, a grandparent, the people that are in the stands just cheering you on because you're who you are, a coach, an administrator, your friends. You know, my daughter right now, her girlfriends come and watch her play. They play lacrosse, they play soccer, they play other sports. They come to her games to watch her play. She does the same. But they're there to support her. She's there to support them. Just remember that they're not just there because, you know, there's somebody else in the stands. They're not just coming because it's a social thing to do. They want to be there to support people. They want to come to support you. Remember that stuff because that matters. You know, if you didn't have anybody in the stands for you, it'd be a lot lonelier road and it'd be a lot more difficult. So remember to thank all those people because they're there for you. So anyway, let's get on with this, and we want to recognize you and say, you know, congratulations, and we want to get a picture. So the way we do this, for those of you who haven't been there before, is we'll call you up. We'll hopefully, if you have a coach or an administrator or somebody with you, you guys will come up. You can come to the podium over here. I don't know if we have mics or not. I don't know who's Robin. Are you the one in charge here? I don't know if we have mics or not. But anyway, we'll call you up. Come up to the front here. The coaches will say something nice about you. Tell everybody about your accomplishments. We'd like for you guys to tell us who you are, what grade you're in, and if you are a senior, what your plans are. If you're going to go off to college, if you plan on competing in college, where you're going to go. If you know, so, and if we really want to know about, you know, who you are and what you're all about. So anyway, and then we're going to get a picture with you. The commissioners will come up and we'll get a picture with you. If nothing else, just to make us, you know, make us important for the moment. You know, so anyway, we're going to begin, and if there's nobody here from the school, that's okay. We'll just move on. So we're going to begin with Bexley High School for the track and field. With the coach Jamie Hayes and Sydney Smith, who was being recognized for her state championship in the discus. Yeah, go ahead. Good morning.
My speech.
Be prepared to speak when you come up, by the way.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm Coach Jamie Hayes from Bexley. I'm very proud to stand here today with Sydney Smith, our Division I discus state champion. Sydney's list of accomplishments are long and impressive. She's our school record holder in both the shot put and the discus. She's never been beat in MSL Ohio competition. That's our league. And she was a 6-time league champion and holds the league record in the discus as well. That'll be a permanent record because the MSL Ohio, this was the last year of that league. She's a 5-time district champion, a 2-time regional champion, a 6-time state qualifier, 4-time All Ohio honors, 3-time All Ohio academic honors, 1-time state runner-up, and then a state champion. And that's all in 3 years, because remember, our seniors lost their freshman year of competition due to COVID. So when we think about those accomplishments in a span of 3 years, it's amazing. And now we can also add All-American to our list of accomplishments, because she competed in Philadelphia at New Balance Nationals and placed 6th in the discus over the weekend.
Thank you.
And I just want to add a little bit about the impact she's had on our program. Even though she didn't have a season, we didn't have a season her freshman year, we found out that Bexley girls were going to be competing in Division I for track and field. It came as a bit of a shock to us because I've always considered us somewhat of a small school. And now we are going to be competing against schools that were 2, 3, even 4 times our size. We didn't really know what was going to happen for our program as we entered Division I competition. I remember walking into districts and hearing people say, "What are you doing here? Aren't you, like, you shouldn't be in Division I, right?" Because Bexley's not a large school. But we were there. And Sydney's successes not only showed that we can compete, but she really built our team's confidence. And behind Sydney's leadership, we were able to be really successful. And that just impact for the rest of the team to see that, yeah, we may be a small school, but we can compete. We do belong. We can place really high. We went to Kentucky and competed at the Eastern Relays this season. Sydney won both the shot and disc, so we got a lot of points there. But we finished 3rd as a team. So behind her leadership, it really helped build the confidence for the rest of our team, and that is just invaluable as I think about, like, and reflect on the past 3 seasons and what she's done for our program. You know, that we do belong, we can compete, and that was just a huge thing. So I'm just really proud of her accomplishments, what she's done as an individual, what she's done for our team. We were 14th in the state this past season, and the Division I meet with all the points belonging to Sydney. So I'm just really proud. So her impact on our team is going to last for years and years and years to come, and she will be our first school Division I state champion. So it's amazing. So I'll let her talk about where she's going. She's got big plans.
Hi, I'm Sydney. I'm going to be continuing my throwing career at the University of Iowa, and I'm going to be majoring in biology and a genetics route. So yeah, pretty much. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Next is the Bexley High School boys track and field team with Mason Lewis, who had 2 state championships in the 400 and 200-yard dash, and Coach Shane Roberts.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, thank you for having us and doing this. This is a very special honor. So Jamie said a lot of stuff that I would have said, but I think our coaching staff at Bexley, because our community feels so tight, we try to build leaders of the future, whether it's, being a champion here, but, as my dad said a long time ago, I want you to be better than me. So we want every kid to, carry that on and move forward. And Sydney and Mason did a great job the last really 6 years of being leaders. Even in middle school, they were leaders. But Mason, having missed his freshman year because of COVID, came out, qualified for the state meet in 4 events as a sophomore. Won one, was second in the 100? Third in the 100 and fifth in the 200. But as a sophomore, that was way over what I thought could happen. Then last year, injury struck right after district, but he qualified for regional, but it was just one of those things for the safety of him to keep it. And then he rehabbed and just got hungry. You know, like, seriously, I've never seen a drive in a person. Like, I've wanted to say it, and I didn't want to say it just to give him a big head, but, like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to coach two kids like this. So I'm getting goosebumps now talking about. But Mason did everything he had to do and only got beat twice that I've seen. I mean, he won the 400 by a second or two in the state meet and came back and broke the state record in Division II in the 200, 22 minutes after he ran a 47 in the 400. This is something that's you can't coach. Everybody says congratulations. I say I just scheduled the bus. They did the work. I was just a fan. So to have that and to be honored for him, it's just a great compliment. It's great to be here to witness. So I'll let Mason talk at this point.
What's up, guys? This is really awkward. I'm Mason. I'm a senior, and next year I'm graduated. I'm a graduated senior, and I will be attending the Ohio State University to run track, and I'll be majoring in exercise science. So, thank you.
All right, now, we have congratulations to the Bishop Watterson girls lacrosse team and Coach Eileen Barrett, but I don't know that we have a lacrosse team in the room. No, I don't think so. Well, the lacrosse team from Watterson. Congratulations, team. And then we have to recognize the St. Francis de Sales High School Track and Field Girls 4x100 Relay Team. Catherine Dortmund, Isabella Swallow, Mackenzie Armanor, and Kenyatta Quinn, and their coach Tim Dewitt. Okay. See, this is what happens when we do it in the summertime. Another state champion from St. Francis de Sales. Congratulations to the boys volleyball team and Coach Andy Feltz. All right. So we have volleyball players in the family, so I followed these guys a little bit.
I always have to stand in the front of this group, so you guys can get behind me. Thank you to the Franklin County Board of Commissioners for recognizing us today. Andy Feltz, head coach from St. Francis de Sales High School. This is my 15th season with the program and my last as a head coach, so it's a great way to go out. Boys volleyball has been self-governed for about 30 years, so a bunch of guys just running a tournament. This is our first year having Ohio High School Athletic Association sanction us as a sanctioned sport under their governance, and they sponsored our postseason. So it's really a privilege to represent Central Ohio and Franklin County as the first Ohio High School Athletic Association boys volleyball state champions. Thank you. We had a tremendous team. We were in the Final Four last season and only graduated 2 seniors, so we really had high expectations coming into this year, and the boys fulfilled that in the offseason with hard work, dedication to each other, and a lot of running and jumping. and sweating. We did have some adversity. We lost our best player and our setter, who was State Player of the Year, Cam Hoying. Went down with an ankle injury midseason. And I think it really forced the rest of the kids to focus on making themselves better and how they could make each other better. And then when Cam came back, having faced that adversity when we got to the final match and played Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, boo, when things were working against us and we lost the first set, the guys understood what it was like to compete with adversity. And that's why we do sports. And thank you for the opening comments. Mr. O'Grady stole my thunder from our, or echoed my comments. I said to the guys at our banquet, if I come back in 10 years and this is the most important thing that you've accomplished, I've failed. And that's really what we do the coaching for, is to try to build young people that are going to do great things. So I'll let the guys just introduce themselves real quick. And thanks again for acknowledging us. Appreciate it. So young guys first. Seniors last. My four senior captains are here, so I want them to go last.
My name is Dom Trolley, and I was a freshman last year.
My name's Casey Althouse, and I was a sophomore last
year. My name is Liam Rice, and I was a junior last year.
My name is Zane Patterson. I graduated, and I'm going to The Ohio State University to study pharmaceutical sciences.
My name's Lou Gabrielli. I also graduated, and I'm going to the University of Dayton and studying business.
I'm Cameron Hoying. I graduated. I'll be attending Lewis University to play volleyball, and I'll be studying computer science.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Hunsaker. I'm going to be doing Naval ROTC at The Ohio State University next year and majoring in mechanical engineering.
Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you so much.
All right, next is the Dublin Jerome High School Boys Lacrosse Team in their Division I State Championship under Coach Andy Asmo. Okay, congratulations to them. All right, and the Gahanna Lincoln High School, they also had a state championship this season, starting with their Boys Division I State Tennis Champion, Brandon Carpico, and Coach Chris Schwinnen. All right, they must not be here either. Let's see, Gahanna also had the girls track and field team with Coach Roger Whitaker and student athlete Camden Bentley, who won 2 individual state championships in the 100 and 300, and she was also part of the 4x400 meter relay team with Ameren Chilton, Aaliyah Bennett, and Keena Sanders. All right. Gahanna also had the boys track and field state champions, Ramiro Wells, Maxwell Cummings, Andrew Pizzico, and Makai Shahid in their 4x200 meter relay with Coach Sean Johnston. All right. And I know this guy's in the room. Congratulations again to Connor Ackley from Hilliard-Davidson High School for his 2 track and field state championships in the 1,600 and 3,200 meter runs with Coach Pat Schlecht. But I I guess Connor's gonna come up by himself. So, if I'm not mistaken, Connor also got another recognition I just read in the newspaper, yesterday, the day before, so, go ahead.
Yeah, so my coach couldn't be here. I'm here with my dad. I just want to thank you guys for inviting me. It's really cool of you guys. I want to thank my parents. I mean, recently I got to go to Philadelphia for the national meet. I mean, that's a lot of driving, and even after I finished running, like, I got all these texts from my parents and everybody, my community, saying, like, you did so great, congratulations. So thanks to them for doing that. And thanks to my coach. I mean, without him, I wouldn't be here. I mean, there's a lot of kids that, like, kind of fade out after a while because of him leading me down the right path. I mean, I am where I am today because of him. So thanks to everybody. Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm going to Syracuse. I'm going to be studying mechanical engineering.
The dispatch just named Connor the male athlete of the year as well, so. Let's see, lost my place. Olentangy Liberty High School. Congratulations goes to Jackson Eckert for his 800-meter run, and his coach is Nate Sakach.
You got it.
Oh, my.
Yeah, very good.
That was a guess.
All right, I'm Nate Sikach, Olentangy Liberty's boys track coach. I'm going to talk about Jackson here. Obviously, he lost his freshman season. In the last 2 years, he's been really primarily a sprinter hurdler for us. And then this winter, we decided to see how he would do in the 800 a little bit more consistently, and he ended up in his fourth time running the event, finishing third in the indoor state meet. So we thought, this is the path we're going to go down for the spring. He obviously had a great season. He's going to leave Liberty as our record holder in the 800, and as a member of our 4x4, he's also going to be on that school record team. He won the county meet. He won our OCC Central Division League meet and broke that meet's record that was set in 1996 in a meet that I actually competed in. So I thought that was kind of interesting how it came full circle there.
What was the time, Coach?
What's that?
What was the time?
In that meet, I don't know, 150, 153.79. He knows it.
Okay.
Okay. And then went on to be runner-up won the district meet in the 800, was runner-up in the region, and then in the state meet ended up beating the young man that beat him in regionals with Jackson ran a 150.973 and beat second place by 2 one-thousandths of a second. So it was a little, they didn't announce it right away, so it took a while to get the results in. So I did not have as many gray hairs in my beard as I do right now, but it turned out all right. So he ended up being the state champion in the 800. He got here, obviously, with a great mindset. He has a positive attitude he brings every single day. Intrinsically motivated like no athlete I've ever coached before. He does everything he can to be the best athlete he can be and everything he can to get an edge on his competition. And then probably most of all, he's a great teammate and elevates all those around him. So I'll let Jackson kind of talk from there.
Hi, I'm Jackson, and just like Mason, actually, I will be running at The Ohio State University, and I'm very excited for that. Thank you, Coach Sikach, for the amazing words. You mean more than you could ever know. being my coach for these past 4 years, really. I've had a lot to learn from you as a young athlete, and now as a young adult, I can say that I'm leaving Olentangy Liberty High School as a more qualified athlete and person. I'm super excited to see what the future holds.
Man, the Big Ten is cleaning up. Central Ohio. All right. Love it.
All right. Next we have Troy Lane from Pickerington Central, the state champion in the 100-meter dash with Coach Jason Roach. Welcome. Oh, sure. We also have from Pickerington Central the girls track and field 4x200 relay team. I'm going to Nevaeh White, Grace Alls, Tanea Jordan, and Jordan Archie. I don't know if you're the only coach here, Coach?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm Coach Darren Green. I'm the head girls coach. I'm the guy here representing for everybody today.
Gotcha. Thanks, Coach.
First, I would like to thank the Franklin County Board for putting this on. I do think this is a very, very, very nice opportunity in more ways than one, which you'll see. I would be remiss if I did not, talk about certain people that are not here today that had a very big part of this, and it's just not just me, as I'm up here representing these fine student athletes that we have. First, our administration at the school, very supportive. Anytime and any moment that we needed anything, they took care of us. They let us know exactly what we needed to do and how to get things done. Our athletic office, Miss Mary Jo, Evan Dowdy, and our athletic director, Miss Lisa Morelli, they may never know it. Sometimes they may come down as a little, oh my goodness, they're getting on my nerves, whatever. But they're looking out. They're looking out for us in a lot of ways, and more ways than one that they've helped us out on. So with especially these athletes just up here. So I really want to thank them. I also, as I said, one thing I do believe in is I think I have a very, very, very good coaching staff. And I would not be remiss if I did not say anything about them. Ryan Davis, Stephen Robinson, Jennifer Green, Brittany White, Jake Schimberg, Andy Fisher, and our boys coach, Jason Roach. We all coach certain events, but at the same time, we're all coaching all of these kids. Boys, girls, all together. There's nobody we can't talk to or nobody we can't help. So I do want to make sure I had to speak on them because this is a very good coaching staff. It's based on, and their result of this today is because of that group. And I'm grateful to be a part of it. Our parents, unwavering support. If they had any issues, had no problem just talking to us about it, getting through things. Other than that, always, man, we record every race, and I know every parent scream and yell and cheer from every single thing that they do, just by being able to hear the race as it goes. So I'm telling you, like right now, my parents, I thank you so much. Thank you so much for just being supportive, being there for your kids, also for your coaches, and just being you. I can't say that enough. For these athletes up here, these are all the short sprinters, 100 meters in our 4x2 group. Coach Stephen Robinson, who works directly with them, definitely wanted to make sure I gave him a little bit of attention and credit to what these athletes did. It's constant conversations I know he could probably speak on what they have, guidance that he's had to put them through, also the work that he has put them through. Coach Stephen Robinson did a very good job with this group all the way through. And I guess I'll go a little bit on each one. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. O'Grady, for demanding these kids to come up and speak on the mic. Because I tell you right now, every single one of them was not going to do it. So I appreciate that. So I'll start with Troy. This kind of goes in, I think your coach from Mason's coach spoke on. He's just first off, it's just a talent that this man has that I don't know if I'll ever get to see again in my life. I mean, just the natural speed and talent that he has to go. What his work ethic, and I always say this about Troy since the last year I've met him, or even the last 2 years because COVID as well. He lost him his freshman year. I see Troy as even a better person than I do see him as an athlete. I said that to him. I said that about him for the last 2 or 3 years on anything that regards to Troy. So that's what I think. I want him to make sure he holds his hat on. His character is what I really, really believe, and I support that a whole other way. But for him to be back-to-back 100-meter champion, broke the state record, owns the state record in the state of Ohio, 10.25. Like I said, I may never coach another kid like that. I'm pretty sure, Mr. Boyce, I remember your reaction as I saw this on the internet, your reaction a little bit when his 4x1 last year, as for the junior, on the comeback on that. So that was, like I said, I may never see that again. So Troy, I just want to thank you, appreciate you for allowing me to be your coach, and Coach Steve Robinson and the rest of your coaches as well. Just being you, man, and don't change that. So Troy Lang. Come on.
Hi, I'm Troy. Next year I'll be attending the University of Kentucky for I'm majoring in aerospace engineering. Yeah. I'd like to thank Coach Green for always supporting me, all my coaches always believing in me. Even though they always put a heavy workload on me, no matter the meet, I just like to thank them for always believing in me and giving me the opportunity to get the job done.
All right. So now let's go to the young ladies. These young ladies has a nice little story. I'll try to make it quick on it. It starts back last year, 4x2. They were regional finalists, and it's basically the entire group. That entire group had no seniors on it. It consisted of 2 sophomores, a freshman, and a junior. And really, I want to throw in a 5th young lady. Her name is Aliana Lewis, who was a part of that last year, where we actually got to second fastest time in the state last year at that time. In this sport, one bad exchange, one bad handoff, that could do it. Regional finals, it happened at the wrong time. We knew we should have been there. We should have been at states at least, and see where we can go. But we fell short. And so that entire group coming back we already knew that, hey, we got something we're going to be able to work with. So in doing so, we probably ran them twice, 2 or 3 times up till April 15th. I believe New Albany meet was the last time we ran that group. And they ran 140 at that time. And we said, all right, we're okay. Let's start moving them around, getting them to other things, other relays, get their opens in. We weren't concerned about it. We keep them in shape. We'll get back to the race when we need to. We didn't run that 4x2 again until districts. They didn't run it again. And it came back right, smooth as ever. The real kind of thing was shake. As I said, that group was entirely back. But we got to regional prelims. And a young lady, by the end of the meet, very last meet of the year, she had broke 26, ran 26.3. Just kind of came out of nowhere, sophomore. And we was like, we got to try this out. We got to see what she can do. She came on. She performed real well in the time, every time that we needed. And even Aliana, who had to be taken off of that relay, but she's not going to be recognized here because she didn't run that race. But she was a part of this the entire way through. So I want to make sure she gets the recognition she deserves too. Even still being supportive, even having to be taken off that relay, going to the state. We ended up being a state champion, and she's not being able to run that race. She still was there. She was still supportive. So that was a hard thing for her to do, but I think she's going to grow from that as well. And she's going to be motivated. She's still back. She's got another year to go. With that being said, I mean, we go to regional finals, we win that, confidence is high, we go to 139, and then we go to states, they win their first heat. I don't know, man, it's like you just gotta be into the whole season and see everything, how it all played out. And once the first leg went off and we saw Nevaeh going and she had broke the staggered on everybody, and obviously beating Gahanna was the one we going for. Everybody knows Gahanna girls, that's what they was doing. That's the one we was going for, and she was just eating it up on that first leg. And once we saw that, man, and we knew once Grace had it, you know, she was gonna do what she done, and then hold it off to Jordan all the way to Tanaya, then to Jordan. I mean, it seemed smooth. Like, it was no moment where it was like, it felt like it was close. We had it the whole way, and it was just, these girls believed in us, the coaching staff, they believed in Coach Rob, they believed in us and what they said, what everything we were talking to them about. Outside influences, nothing, they were there for us, and they did it. They were there for themselves. It was a great moment. I mean, I'm no prouder to have for these girls in that moment to have us, because I don't even think some of them even realize what they've done. So, you know, that's how I feel about that. That was just a beautiful thing. So I will go ahead and call them up in front of time. As I told you, Troy didn't want to come up here, and neither one of these girls are going to want to either. So Ms. Nevaeh White, come on up.
I'm Nevaeh White, and I'll be a senior. I want to thank my coaching staff and my teammates and my parents and my friends for being so supportive throughout the season.
We got Ms. Tanaya Jordan.
I'm Tanaya, and I'm going to be a junior next year.
We got Ms. Grace Alls.
I'm Grace Alls, and I'm going to be a junior next year. I'm grateful for my coaches and my family, and I thank God that we made it this far. Last year we didn't make it out of regionals, and that really hurt. And this year I feel like we really had a goal, especially for our 4x2. And I had to put a lot of faith in God, because as Coach Green said, he made some of the changes in the 4x2, and some of us were kind of iffy about it, but I just had to trust God, and he came through, and I was really grateful. It's a blessing to be a state champion. So.
I forgot to leave this part out. All things are possible is one of my parents who always kept saying it over to me, and again throughout the whole year. All things are possible. So yes, all things are possible. So I'm with that. Thank you. Come on, man, get out there. No, but you good. You good. It happens, man. Go.
Well, Mr. Lane, good luck, and ladies, we expect to see you back here next year. All right, next we have Westerville Central High School. With congratulations to Olivia Pace for her state championship in the long jump, and Coach David Mentlow.
Thank you for having us again as well. Everybody's done great speeches today, and it's a lot to follow up. So I'll do what I can here. But again, thank you. Appreciate you guys having this. I do agree with all the other coaches as well. It's a great opportunity for the athletes to be recognized, and also hear from you guys as well. They hear the same things from coaches, but to hear from you guys is very special as well. So thank you. Olivia, she is, for our team, we have a motto that we go by. It's having no limits. And this young lady here, she defies that, or she is that pretty much. She doesn't have many limits. I would say probably about this time last year, you probably started long jumping. Hadn't done it a whole lot. So she started last year, and you know, being up here today, she is a state champion in a long jump after a year's worth of work. And because of the effort she puts in and willing to go past her limits quite often, she was able to achieve something pretty special. And it's not even, obviously, not her main event, as she's been a 3-time 60-meter champion indoor for the last 3 years with expecting 4. She's been runner-up in the 100 the last 2 years. She has 6 school records, indoor and outdoor, and now the long jump record as well, indoor and outdoor, again, with about a year's worth of work. So we certainly expect more, and she expects more, and she works for that. As evident by all the athletes in here, you get here because you put a little more in, and that's what it takes. And she's willing to do that. So as the other coach said, I'm here because of what she's able to do and what she puts in. So it's certainly not about myself or our coaching staff, but she leads, and she leads our program. She builds our culture. She's positive, and everyone follows. And we would like to have a positive culture and inviting for all of our athletes. And when one of your best athletes does that, it's great for the program. And she certainly does that, and very appreciative of it. And in addition to that, of course, she is outstanding academics. In the classroom, she's amazing as well. And the best thing of all is she is only a junior. So we will have another opportunity, hopefully, to see you guys again in the spring, and get an opportunity to go over some more things, and maybe talk about bring more teammates up here as well. But I'd like to give her the opportunity to talk and say a few words.
Hello, my name is Olivia. First, I would like to thank God for allowing me the chance to accomplish all of the things that I've accomplished. I would also like to thank my coaches, my family, and my friends for being there with me along the way. And I'm really looking forward to breaking records this year and to be an upcoming senior.
Towards the end. Now we have Upper Arlington High School, their girls lacrosse team, Division I state champions, and Coach Laura Sandblum. All right. And that is, I guess that brings us to the end. So congratulations to all the state champions. Springtime is when we have all kinds of different sports competing going on. There's a lot happening in the spring, and so we have a long agenda with a long number of state champions. So congratulations to everybody. It's not too bad. I was even able to make it through and congratulate those fellows back in the back from DeSales. So we made it. But again, thanks to everybody. We appreciate all of you being here today. You're welcome to stay, learn all there is to learn about county government. We have Commissioner Boyce is saying you guys should sneak out now. But we don't have a whole lot more wisdom to impart upon you this morning. But we appreciate everything you've done for yourselves, for your community. The representation that you are and that you've done for not only your school, but for for Franklin County and, the surrounding counties. We got some folks here from surrounding counties as well. We are good neighbors here in Franklin County, and so we occasionally have folks from the surrounding counties as well. But we appreciate you guys for who you are and what you've done and all you've done. And we look forward to watching you in the future, not just your careers the next few years in high school for some of you, but your careers over the next few years in college. Some of you as Buckeyes, some of you as, Iowa Hawkeyes and Syracuse Orangemen and Kentucky Wildcats and others, but also we really are excited to watch you guys grow and hopefully come back to this community and become contributing members of the Central Ohio and Franklin County community. We are actively a part of building this community so that it's someplace where you want to come back and grow and thrive and maybe one day raise a family and be a part of this community as well. So it's been fun watching you grow. We want to continue to watch you grow, but we also want to watch you become a part of who we are too in the future. So thanks, guys. So now while there's a small stampede, we will take just a moment and then we'll move on with the agenda.
Wayne Roberts says hello.
Oh my, that's been tell Wayne I said hi.
I will.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I haven't seen him in
Thanks for having us.
Oh, glad to. Thank you again for having us. Thank you so much. Hi. Oh, how are you? Doing well. This is our 10-year anniversary, and you guys been supportive of the program. Yeah, absolutely. They brought me down here. Well, thank you. How's everything going? Everything's great. We graduated 97 students this year, our highest number of graduates. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks. Keep it up. I'm sorry. That's okay. Keep it up. Thank you. All right, well, let's move on with the agenda now. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes of the May 23rd, May 30th general sessions, and the May 25th briefing session, and the May 31st, 2023 administrative briefing session.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
All right, we'll move on with Common Pleas Court.
Resolution number 48523. Resolution authorizing a contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation for the Community Corrections and Targeted Community Alternative to Prisons grant in the amount of $11,836,040.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance, and with me is Dan Wunderlich, Chief Probation Officer. This resolution approves the state fiscal year 2024-25 Community Corrections Grant Agreement provided by the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. This agreement will fund 2 fiscal years beginning July 1 of 2023 through June 30th of 2025, and will provide grant funding to the Common Pleas Court General Division Adult Probation Department to divert offenders from prison. It is estimated a total of 3,693 offenders will be diverted from incarceration. Additionally, this grant will provide continuation funds for the POWER program, which is operated in collaboration with the Albus Inc. organization and provides an inpatient treatment program for opiate-addicted probationers. Finally, this grant agreement includes the receipt of the Targeted Alternative to Prison, TCAP funding. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 485-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 48523 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly. The Domestic Relations Court.
Resolution number 48623. Resolution authorizing a First Amendment with Forum Ohio LLC for various psychological services in the amount of $400,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barb Reeves, Deputy Director. This resolution is requesting an amendment to the 2-year contract with Forum Ohio to increase the contract from $180,000 to $400,000. This increase is due to a significant increase in competency evaluations. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 486-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 486-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 487-23, resolution authorizing a second amendment to the 2023 grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Youth Services in the amount of $10,000.
This resolution is requesting an increase of $10,000 to the 2023 grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Youth Services to add a new program for court-involved youth to build daily life skills. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 487-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 487-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 488-23, resolution authorizing a supplemental appropriation in the Domestic Relations Grant Fund to support program operations.
This resolution is requesting a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $478,132 for the Domestic Grant Fund. These funds are needed for the payment of a 2022 invoice to Adam H. for the reception center and to support the court's electronic monitoring, restitution, and respite care programs. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 488-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 488-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. The drainage engineer.
Resolution number 489-23, resolution adopting the Franklin County Drainage Engineers Annual Review of the 10-year Capital Improvement Program for Drainage Systems.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Cornell Robertson, honored to serve as County Engineer and County Drainage Engineer for everyone in Franklin County. Commissioners, before I get into my presentation, I would like to congratulate the state champions of the spring sports. I'm impressed by their tenacity, their ability to multitask, and their ability to perform at such a high level.
Absolutely.
This first resolution is our Drainage Capital Improvement Program. Our office has 94 miles of open ditches and 147 miles of tile ditches to maintain. Many sections of those pipes are over 100 years old, with pipe designed to last 50 years. Therefore, we have a lot of catch-up work to do. As you know, the Franklin County Drainage Engineer's Office is an agency of action, innovation, and collaboration. With your leadership, partnership, and general fund money, the Drainage Capital Improvement Program has become proactive instead of reactive. It has become a more active and aggressive programmatic to maintain our critically essential stormwater infrastructure. From the general fund, we have utilized the annual amount of $1.2 million for drainage-specific capital improvements. At this annual funding amount, it could take us as long as 67 years to get caught up. Therefore, as we begin the budget process for 2024, I ask that you and Administrator Wilson consider increasing the drainage engineer's annual funding amount by $5 million. I assure you that we have the capacity, skilled labor, equipment, and aptitude to do more. Such an increase would allow us to get caught up in more like 10 years as opposed to 67 years. At this time, if it's okay by you all, we have a couple representatives who would like to speak on behalf of this resolution. First, I'd like to invite Catherine Harrison. And as Catherine comes up, I'll share a little bit about Catherine. She owns and operates a specialty farm near Canal Winchester. She raises sheep, goats, chicken, ducks, and sells a variety of products at her local farm market. Catherine has served as president of the Franklin County Farm Bureau and was elected to the Ohio Farm Bureau Board of Trustees, District 11, which includes Franklin, Delaware, Union, and Madison counties. She has been reelected multiple times, serving on the executive board, as well as holding numerous positions within the state organization. Catherine?
Thank you, Commissioners. It is a privilege to be able to speak to you this morning in support of this resolution. As was shared, I am a farmer in between Canal Winchester and Groveport, and I am very passionate about farming. I love it. My land is my lifeblood, and I'm very committed to it. Besides raising livestock, the other great joy in my life is working with young people. At my farm, we offer a lot of internships for high school students, undergraduate students working with Ohio State's animal science and public health departments, as well as graduate level practicums for both the Masters of Public Health program as well as the veterinary students. In addition, we also offer internships for individuals who are not connected to an academic program, but are simply passionate about farming and want to learn. I find this to be a growing sector because if you are a young person in rural Ohio, you likely know about 4-H or FFA. If you are growing up in Dublin, Upper Arlington, Bexley, and you have a dream of being a farmer, how do you learn unless you find a local farm where you can develop these skills? In addition to my educational passion, we also host a lot of agritourism activities on the farm, including on-farm dinners, camping, and goat yoga. We are probably best known for our goat activities and also the lamb grams that we do when we bring animals to visit people around the area. I share that with you because although my passion would be raising animals and working with young people as they develop farming skills, I also recognize that in order to have a farm in our community, there have to be provisions in place which support agriculture. Although row crop farming is not my passion, I do partner with a neighbor farmer who has that skill set, and we raise both corn and soybeans on my farm. In order to be able to do that successfully, we need prudent drainage, which allows for those row crop fields to flourish. Franklin County is a metropolitan area, but we still have numerous row crop farms within our county that contribute a great deal, not only by providing local food, but also by ensuring that farms like mine are able to access foodstuffs for our livestock. The rule on my farm is that every animal has to have a job. Some grow up to be parents, some grow up to be yoga goats and do education and outreach. We also do some targeted grazing off-site, which we refer to as rent-a-goat. If they do not find another job, then our sheep and goats will contribute by becoming meat. And I work a lot with the immigrant and refugee communities to ensure that they are able to source products which meet their cultural and religious needs. I appreciate your time in listening to a little bit about my farm because I want to share that in Franklin County, we still have an amazing, diverse agricultural community. We are simply seeking the support through programs that allow agriculture to thrive. The drainage provisions that are being raised up are a direct impact on that because in order for us to be able to have fields of corn and soybeans and wheat and to be able to have pastures where our sheep, goats, cattle can graze, we need provisions that allow the land to flourish, and we are very fortunate to have a county engineer who understands that this is a key part of the farm community to ensure that we can provide food for our fellow members of the community and also those educational opportunities so that young people can get into farming someday, which is what we truly need to have a flourishing agricultural community in our amazing county. Thank you very much for the privilege of speaking with you today.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Dwight Bucher to the podium. And as Dwight comes forward, I can share a bit about him. He is a retired ag industry representative, spending his working career in the animal, poultry, and pet foods business. He and his wife owned and operated 4 retail feed stores located in Plain City, Westerville, and Galloway. Their stores and feed mill were known as DJ Feeds Incorporated. Over the past 21 years, Dwight has served as trustee for Franklin County Farm Bureau, 8 years as president, and 9 years as public policy chairman. In 2017, Dwight was inducted into the Ohio Agricultural Hall of Fame. Dwight?
Thank you, Cornell. Following someone like Catherine is a challenge. She does a fantastic job on her feet. And I appreciate being here and joining with you this morning. We've been together before. As a matter of fact, we met by, what you call it, the screen anyway, 11 months ago. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on history that's involved with what we are talking about when we get into drainage. You know, the average person living here in Franklin County doesn't give a whole lot of thought to drainage in Franklin County until a heavy rain comes along and they find their backyard flooded, or there's a low underpass somewhere that's flooded or something like that. But the drainage here in Franklin County actually has been suggested is 100 years old, some of it over 100 years old, and it was put in at that time to last maybe 50 years. And at that time, I have to say, well, not 100 years ago, but about 60-some years ago, I came to Columbus from growing up on a farm down in Pickaway County, and enrolled at Ohio State. One of the first courses I took was rural sociology. And I thought I knew something about farming and surrounding towns and things like that, but one of the first things they did was load us in a bus and hauled us out to Hilliard. Now, there's not many people in this room have a clue what Hilliard looked like back in 1958, but that was the fall of 1958. And they were having an explosion out there with the population. And they had no clue what direction to go because they had problems everywhere. You might look forward now about 60 years and see what we're looking at, because it's been nothing but a continuation. We're up over what, 1.3 million in Franklin County? And I don't remember what it was. I didn't go back and look it up or anything like that. But we're still suffering from the same problems that we saw out there at Hilliard that day. I always remember it was pretty interesting. The comparison I'd like to make is, you know, most of us in this room don't think about farming and how farmers got to be where we are today. They used to be able to provide enough food for their own family, and today I don't know exactly what it is, but they provide enough food for multiple people. And in the 50s and 60s, how they did that was they learned to do what was called, use the formula point of return, applying fertilizer and things like that to their crops until they got no more return. And it was interesting because, again, at Ohio State in econ class, I don't remember a whole lot out of that class, but I got to the doing things to the point of no return was what they wanted to accomplish. You kept applying and applying and applying until you couldn't get any more result. Well, we're in a little bit of a situation like that today. You know, the funding that we are needing for our drainage improvements and things like that is actually like the applying and the applying, but we're not really getting that. So, you know, Catherine and I are here today to support Cornell and his program. He is doing a little bit what farmers are doing today because they don't work that way anymore. Today they have equipment designed that gives them the very best result out of that fertilizer, and instead of applying to the maximum out here and hoping for an increase, they actually are applying because of what they're reading in the soil. Their equipment is smart enough to tell you what the moisture is, what the soil can accomplish, and they fertilize and treat that field on that basis. As a consequence today, they're actually efficiently using the fertilizer, and I'm using fertilizer as our funding to support the program. And they are so much more efficient. And I have to say that I've watched Cornell and his program work for quite a while. And he's probably as well organized as you're going to find in any of the counties in the state of Ohio. I would put him up against any of them. Because you've all read his plans. He has it planned out and says that with his funding today, it will take 4 or 5 years, I think, to accomplish what he can with the funding. You know, this city and this whole county is obviously not standing by to wait and let that happen. We thought back in 1958 that Hilliard had a problem. I think we're in the same situation, just a little more compounded. So Farm Bureau stands tight behind Cornell in his efforts because we're still 20% of the land in this county that is farmable. Agriculture, not just in Franklin County, but in the state of Ohio, is number one source of income in the state of Ohio. And I know in Franklin County and the entire state and across the U.S., 1 out of every 7 jobs is something to do with agriculture. We don't think about that, but Farm Bureau being the number one organization representing farmers has a deep interest in what we get accomplished, as well as helping Franklin County to grow. So thank you very much for your time this morning, and we're on Cornell's side.
Thank you very much, Dwight and Catherine. And that concludes our presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
President O'Grady, may I? Please. Thank you. I would like to ask the administration to maybe give us an overview of what our funding currently is, and the engineer has made a request, and so I'm interested in kind of where we stand with our capabilities and what we've currently done beyond this current appropriation or the current resolution.
Commissioner, Zach Tlarek with the Office of Management and Budget. So with regard to the ARPA funding in 2021, the commissioners authorized $1 million, one of the initial allocations from the American Rescue Plan. As part of the 2022 budget that was approved, an additional $1 million was used for various ditch repairs. I believe McCoy and Morris were 2 of the bigger projects that were part of that. And then as part of this year's budget process, we included an additional $1 million, so a total of $3 million for drainage improvements. Plus there was an additional $5 million allocation to the engineer side of the house, the motor vehicle and gas tax fund, to provide operational support to the engineer's office.
Sure, President Grady, may I please? Yeah, I would just add too, I mean, I think it's a great use of ARPA funds because it's capital expenses are in many ways one time, given the length of time it exists in the infrastructure part of it. And so I think it is a very good request and good use of ARPA funds, and hope that, would ask the administration to give that a review of consideration. I mean, we'll never meet the full needs of Franklin County because we're growing, there's a lot happening, but when we can zero in, especially on one-time funds type of investments, I think these are good requests. And I'll just add that it is Infrastructure Day. It's so therefore this is the perfect time to consider an investment in the drainage infrastructure, because it is Infrastructure Day, isn't it? That's right.
That's right.
And so, again, I would just maybe ask the administration to give that a review and maybe get back to the Board of Commissioners about if we can make a one-time investment again with ARPA funds. If this was a general fund request, I maybe feel a little different way about it, but I think it's a perfect use for those funds because it strengthens and undergirds our infrastructure as we grow. So, be my thoughts.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. Thank you, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crawley. Yes, we have been, in fact, looking at how we can effectively use these one-time ARPA funds to benefit drainage engineers' work as well as infrastructure in general, because as pointed out, Commissioner Boyce, it's an excellent use of one-time dollars because we have modestly funded this each year with a recommendation from the general fund to take on these projects. And we too have been a partner with the engineer's office, county administration, and its Board of Commissioners in dealing with so many of these 100-year projects. I spoke with the engineer and his team on many occasions, and I said, well, all these projects waiting on me to be county administrator for it to be noted that it was 100 years nobody's did anything about it, and now it's time for you to do something about it with a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. So for that, I feel blessed that I am the man that has been identified after 100 years of pent-up infrastructure to be the administrator to bring us out of this. I partner, with the engineer, and while it is daunting to see numbers like 67 years being pointed out, but we've come together and on both the general infrastructure side and now the drainage infrastructure side, the county engineer has brought forward 10-year plans, and it's always important when you talk about the county and it being a $2 billion enterprise that you look long-term. So I appreciate you being a partner with the Board of Commissioners and laying out what this looks like over 10 years and as we look at different recommended funding levels.
Certainly.
Are there any other comments or questions? All right, seeing that there are none, move for adoption of 489-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 489-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 490-23, resolution authorizing drainage engineer Cornell R. Robertson to submit applications and execute project agreements on behalf of Franklin County for Ohio Public Works Commission funding of drainage systems.
With this resolution, I am asking for authorization to submit drainage engineer projects for Ohio Public Works Commission funding. Applications will be submitted in September of 2023, with awards coming toward the end of the year. We will likely submit the following projects for funding: Hot Ditch drainage improvements, Zuber Road drainage improvements, and possibly other projects noted in the prior resolution. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 490-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 490-23 has been adopted. On to the engineer.
I'm sorry.
Resolution number 491-23. Resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to Strasser Paving Company for the 2023 Franklin County Township Resurfacing Program in the amount of $3,755,845.09.
Commissioners, for the next three resolutions, I'm asking Fritz Crozier, Chief Deputy of Engineering, to present those to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Administration. Very good to see all of you this morning.
Good morning.
As mentioned, this next resolution seeks to award the contract and approve the contract bond to Strasser Paving Company for the 2023 Franklin County Township Resurfacing Program. Strasser Paving Company was selected via the competitive bid process with the bid opening on May 11th, 2023. This is a locally funded project, and Engineer Robertson's EBE program has been implemented. The EBE goal for this project is 7%. Buds Inc., JR's Hauling, MS Trucking, and 32 Trucking are the EBE contractors. Pending any questions, I would ask for the board's approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 491-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 491-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 492-23, resolution authorizing the Franklin County engineer to enter into a contract modification with Proudfoot Associates Incorporated for general engineering services in the amount of $37,743.66 for a revised contract amount of $137,743.66.
Commissioners, as mentioned, this resolution seeks approval of a contract modification with Proudfoot Associates, Inc. for general engineering services. Proudfoot has efficiently assisted the engineer's office on engineering design for several pedestrian infrastructure improvement projects. An additional task has been identified that Proudfoot can assist our office with, which requires this modification. Pending any questions, I'd ask for the board's approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 492-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 492-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 493-23, Resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on McOwen Road, Township Road Number 202, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
As mentioned, this resolution seeks authorization to request the Ohio Department of Transportation to investigate the speed limit on McCohen Road from Wagoner Road to Dixon Road. ODOT will review Franklin County's study and determine a safe speed limit. The county engineer received a request from a resident to study the speed limit on this roadway. A study was completed by the engineer's office, and it was determined that the speed limit reduction from 45 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour would be appropriate. Pending any questions, I would ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 493-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 493-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 494-23, resolution granting approval to declare equipment obsolete and no longer needed for Franklin County use and authorizing sale of said equipment.
Commissioners, this being our last resolution, I am asking for authorization to declare equipment, a Vector truck in this case, obsolete for sale or proper disposal. We will allow political subdivisions a designated period to bid and purchase the Vector truck before offering it up for public auction. Respectfully request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 494-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 494-23 has been adopted.
Thank you all very much. Have a great Infrastructure Tuesday.
You too.
Thank you. On to the sheriff.
Resolution number 495-23, resolution authorizing the county administrator to sign agreements on behalf of the Board of Commissioners to provide data to Falcon Correctional and Community Services Incorporated for the purpose of improving inmate health operations.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our first resolution authorizes an agreement with Falcon Correctional and Community Services to provide data from our jail to help create a predictive analytical tool for suicide prevention in jails nationally. We are one of 5 jails participating from different regions of the U.S. In return, we will be provided this free predictive analytical tool. We will also participate in their national pilot program. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
Mr. Smith, I have some issues I'd like to raise here, if you don't mind. These are not maybe necessarily directed towards you in particular, but certainly directed towards the Sheriff's Department. I got a couple of issues that I'd like to raise. One issue that I'd like to raise personally, and another issue that I'd like to raise on behalf of some questions that were raised months back by the NAACP. President Watson at the NAACP spoke with President Watson recently, and she indicates to me that she sent a letter to the Sheriff's Department asking a number of questions back in December on a number of issues, and has not received a reply from the Sheriff's Office about any of those issues. And none of those issues has she received a reply on. I don't know, I'm waiting for a copy of the letter. I haven't seen it yet, but I believe I'm going to be receiving it here shortly. But I have a question that I'd like to get an answer to before, and I'm to be honest with you, I think I'm going to ask that we table these 2 resolutions this morning until I get some answers. I'd like to know, one, how many of the body cameras that we purchased quite some time ago have been deployed. Because I know that we, in 2020, we set aside, back in 2020, we set aside a couple $1 million for body cameras. Then we purchased body cameras, and somebody on this dais can probably give me the date, but we purchased body cameras quite a long time ago. And if I'm not mistaken, only a small number of those body cameras have actually been deployed at this point. And we've been asking about body cameras for quite some time. The community's been asking about body cameras for quite some time. We went through a long process, a long arduous process to go through a body camera policy, to go through, we've been down the road. I mean, it is now June of 2023. It's almost Independence Day of 2023. And we have a whole bunch of body cameras sitting on a shelf somewhere. And I mean hundreds of body cameras sitting on a shelf somewhere. And Mr. Smith, I am not trying to embarrass you here. I am not trying to put you on the spot. This is not, I'm sure this is not your issue, but you are the delivery person this morning for this message. But we got to get these body cameras deployed. Every time I turn around, somebody's getting shot in this community. And we're about ready to have a couple of conversations in this community about, this issue. And we have a sheriff's department that doesn't have enough body cameras on our deputies. And so I need an answer, we need answers to how many body cameras do we have on deputies now, and why we don't have all of our body cameras on deputies, and when that's gonna happen. And, sometime in the future isn't a good enough answer. And so, unless, I don't know, I'll need a motion from one of my colleagues, or maybe they don't wanna do it, I don't know. I didn't really warn anybody this morning, either of my colleagues this morning, that I was gonna do this, but I'd like to table these resolutions this morning until we get some answers from the Sheriff's Department on body cameras.
President O'Grady, may I ask?
Please.
My
And I
question.
apologize to my colleagues. I apologize to you,
No,
Mr. Smith, for
no
doing this.
apology
I
necessary.
apologize.
Yeah, no apology
But
necessary.
This has been eating at me for some time, and I should have brought it up.
Yeah, the only thing I'd ask President O'Grady
Sure.
is what the impact of the tabling of the legislation is. Is there anything that is detrimental to our ability to carry out sheriff duties, or, is there something expiring, or are there any significant implications? Questions for the sheriff's office.
No, as of right now, there would not be. I don't think delaying this wouldn't hurt anything. As far as the body cameras go, I know we have deployed quite a few of them. I'm not exactly sure where they are in the phases yet of deploying those. But yes, I can definitely get those answers for you, Commissioner O'Grady.
Thank you.
And I would just add, President O'Grady, I would just ask that, that's something that I'm absolutely certain all of the BOC members want to know, that information. It, is disturbing. I'm not one to necessarily want to commandeer other legislation. However, if that's what it takes to get the attention, then it's important that we answer those questions as quickly as possible. And I saw the chain of emails this morning, and so the sooner you can get the information, the better, and the quicker that we can move on with the county's business. And it's not, I would also add, if I might, Commissioner Grady,
Sure.
It's not even a matter of that they're sitting there and when you deploy them, but why? And it's disappointing to say the least.
We
And
purchased them 16 months ago, February of 2022. So,
And so Commissioner Grady, I mean, to your point, I'd be happy to make the motion to table, and hopefully there's a second.
Commissioner, by way of procedure, is it your intent, if we table, then the matter dies if it's not brought up at your next meeting? So my suggestion and recommendation would be that you postpone the matter to a date certain.
I was going, if I was able to make some comments, Janine, I was going to ask if we can have a date. I would prefer the next general session. As we said, or as Commissioner O'Grady already alluded to, it's been 16 months. I know the NAACP has had a lot of questions, and I mean, quite frankly, I do too. And so, so we don't have to delay this or belabor the point too long between now and next Tuesday. Are we scheduled for general session next Tuesday? If we can get answers to that. And what is the holdup? What is the process? Is there issues with deploying the cameras? Is it an issue with the policy still? Like what are the things that has delayed this to the extent that it has, where we had a different expectation, I think last year would be sufficient. And with that, is there a motion on the table?
I move to postpone both resolutions. Can I do them both in one time? I move to postpone Resolution 495-23 and Resolution 496-23 to 6/27, right? The next one is 6/27/23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolutions number 495-23 and 496-23 have been postponed until June 27th, 2023 during general session.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll get that information to you.
Perfect.
Thanks, Albert. All right. Let's move on to, I apologize to everybody, that is not my normal course of action. I don't like to do things like that, but I am more than frustrated. What?
You don't have to.
I mean, it's just not how we do business around here. I'm just very frustrated with this, and so, that's why I'm apologizing, because I just don't, we don't do business like that around here. I'm just frustrated, so, anyway, let's move on. Franklin County Data Center.
Resolution number 497-23, resolution authorizing a terms of service agreement with QuickBase Incorporated for enterprise development software in the amount of $183,470.70.
Good morning, Commissioners. Julie Last, CFO with the Data Center. This resolution is for a low-code application development platform, allowing our team to quickly develop and deploy applications in a secure and efficient environment. QuickBase provides visual interfaces and drop-and-drag functions that speed up the development process while allowing reusable code to be saved and used again on other applications. We will use this platform to rewrite some legacy applications that are currently written in Cold Fusion or are residing on the iSeries platform or unsupported Microsoft operating systems. The Data Center worked with the Prosecuting Attorney's Office to negotiate a 2-year agreement with the option to renew for 3 additional 1-year terms. Pending any questions, the Data Center respectfully requests your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 497-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 497-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. Child Support Enforcement.
Resolution number 498-23, resolution authorizing a 4D contract with Powers Investigations Incorporated for providing process services in the amount of $384,750.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Administration. Susan Brown, Director representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. For your consideration this morning is a contract with Powers Investigation for $384,750, who were the lowest and best bidder to provide service of process to our residents in the RFP process. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse the process servers for expenses associated with providing personal service of process on residents for administrative and judicial hearings when required or when certified or regular mail service has failed. Performance standards are outlined in item 6 of the contract and unit costs in section 4B. This contract aligns with the Rise Together, a blueprint for reducing poverty in Franklin County, goal number 12, increasing the number of children in safe and stable homes and environments, and goal number 13, strengthening partnerships with parents to increase support for young people. Ensuring parents have an opportunity or due process to participate in their child support proceedings is a key component of procedural justice to engage both parents in supporting their children and provide them a voice in the process. In addition, connecting parents to their children and ensuring regular and consistent child support payments ensures that children have the emotional and financial support and resources they need to thrive. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have and recommend approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 498-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 498-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 472-23, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department to apply for Ohio Department of Development Community Development Block Grant COVID Target of Opportunity Program Year 2023 funding to provide funding for the development of a community center and 2-acre park of the Vista Village project and authorizing a contract with Kleinfelder Incorporated for consultation services related to the preparation of the grant application and to administer the grant in the amount of $47,000.
Good morning, Commissioners, Administration. Sierra Ferris, Senior Program Coordinator with the Department of Economic Development and Planning. This resolution would authorize EDP to apply for the Target of Opportunity grant from the Ohio Department of Development to assist with the building of the community center and 2-acre park of the innovative Vista Village Affordable Housing Project. The total amount would be $800,000, and we would also be authorized to enter an agreement with Kleinfelder Inc. for up to $47,000 to apply for the grant and administer the grant if awarded. The Vista Village project will include 41 tiny homes, a community center, a community garden, and a 2-acre park. The park itself will include seating areas and a shelter, walking paths, exercise equipment, and playground equipment to encourage wellness and promote a sense of community. The community center will host a variety of services that will be provided by partner agencies, including mental health care, primary health care, vocational skills training, trade skills programming and certifications, financial literacy classes, substance abuse treatments, and more. This project would align with 4 goals of the Rise Together Poverty Blueprint, including goal number 3, increasing access to relevant training for credentials that meet local demand with employer commitments to hire and promote. Number 4, improving and increasing the delivery of supportive services for individuals to access employment. Number 5, increasing the supply of an equitable opportunity to access quality housing. And number 7, increasing the financial resources available to implement housing supports. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval.
Mr. President, I have a question, or just more of a clarifying question. This grant requires a local government to submit it on their behalf, correct? And I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, at some point in time, I think they had conversations with the City of Columbus, and the City of Columbus had some other priorities, I think, that they were submitting first, and so basically they need our support, correct?
That's
okay,
correct.
for this.
Yes.
And they have already secured quite a bit of funding for their capital
Yes.
project, more than probably around 75%, I think, or somewhere around there, 50 to 75% of
Yeah.
the capital, at least committed. And so they're pretty far along in this
They are far
process.
along.
Okay.
Yes, there's someone from Kleinfelder Inc. here, as well as someone from the Perez Morris law firm.
I don't know that I necessarily need them to add any. I think you did a great job unless somebody else had some questions. I just wanted to underscore that this project is
Yes.
well underway
Yes.
and needs this support. Okay.
Lots of private contributions and other funding, and then this funding would be only for the community center and 2-acre park.
Mr. President, but this funding is for the grant writing process to apply for the $800,000
Yes.
grant. Okay, I just want to be clear, because if the listening public or watching public, we're investing $47,000, but the idea is to access an $800,000 grant towards this project, and so that's just makes a lot of sense.
And I like to clarify that the $47,000 would come out of that grant as the administration costs.
It's reimbursable, probably, yeah,
Yes.
sure. One, I'll say that, as someone who in my other life writes grants to the feds, you need experts to complete that process. You need people that are really zeroed in on the data and the application process. It is a process all in by itself. So I can definitely appreciate that investment, and that we're going after 800,000, nearly $1 million. Is there any plans for the county to invest additional resources, or is this pretty much our extent?
I do know that they are planning to apply for community partnership grants as well, so they've been speaking with Curtis, and they want the supportive services to maybe be looked at for those grants and opportunities.
Okay. Director, you had something you want to add? You look like you want to say something.
No, I just actually wanted to say that it is a continuation. The process is one that's evolving as time goes on, but you hit it right on the nose with the idea that we are, Commissioner Crowley's point, that we are basically, although this is in the city of Columbus, we think it's important enough for us to get engaged, spend the money on the grant to make sure that we're in really good place with the Department of Development and get the project done. And it's been an interesting process, one that I think is very unique, not only in Ohio, but in the eastern portion of the United States. So we're excited about it, and we think it's a really good use of money and dollars. So.
Yeah, it's a great project, no question about it. Hopefully it'll be a national gem and something that can be replicated. But I just want to make sure we're doing the maximum that we can to make it the best project that it can be. So I'll be interested in, as we go further, even with the community partnerships grant request, just kind of where that's going to be targeted and kind of how we're approaching that review.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 472-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 472-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 499-23, review a petition to annex 22.3 more or less acres from Madison Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-24-23.
Commissioners, Director Jim Schimmer from Economic Development and Planning. Attached is a resolution to consider an expedited annexation of 22.3 acres more or less from Madison Township to the City of Columbus. The petition case is number ANX 24-23. The owner of the property is Michael Barr. The site is located at 5656 Bixby Road, parcel ID number 181-00118. The agent is Jackson B. Reynolds from Smith & Hale. Additional information, the total perimeter of the property is 4,307 feet, approximately 2,925.6 feet, or 67.9% is contiguous to the City of Columbus. Our analysis has shown that the applicant has in fact met all of the statutory requirements outlined in section 709.02 of the Ohio Revised Code. The applicant has provided proof of notification in a timeline and has provided an ordinance from the City of Columbus identifying services that will be provided once the annexation has been approved, and a statement regarding the possible incompatible land uses in the zoning buffer. Ordinance number 1386-2023 was passed by the City of Columbus on May 22nd of 2023. Pending any questions, the staff would ask for your approval of this annexation this morning.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 499-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 499-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 500-23, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Kevin A. McLeese at 1847 Elmore Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43224.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Jacob Cresa, Junior Program Coordinator for Economic Development and Planning. This resolution seeks your approval for a lien release of a mortgage Kevin McLeese received a home loan for $4,000 from Franklin County. The requirements of the housing loan have been satisfied. The property taxes are paid in current, and I am respectfully asking the commissioners to sign the discourse of mortgage instrument on this property. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 500-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 500-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 501-23, resolution approving a contract with Advocacy and Communications Solutions LLC for consultation services to support the integration of Board of Commissioners, Health and Human Services agencies in the amount of $300,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Deputy County Administrator Joy Bivens of Health and Human Services. Commissioners, we learned during the Rise Together Poverty Blueprint Plan doing a human-centric design framework that racism is one of the root causes of poverty. It constricts economic mobility and health disparities. These disparities are further exacerbated by siloed human services systems. We have different agencies administering several programs, federal, state, and local, across several different complex and varying eligibility criteria. The Rise Together Blueprint in Franklin County calls for increased alignment of health and human service agencies to achieve its expressed goals and action steps. The need was reaffirmed by our survey that we put out to the community, where we learned that over 32% of our population who receives services interacts with more than one of our human service agencies. We also learned that 16% of the population interfaces with two or more of our agencies. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of residents across Franklin County. This was the foundation of the Franklin County One Door, aligning all the human service agencies to create a more streamlined business process model to alleviate the burden first for the resident, but also looking at policies that we feel that address systemic issues as it relates to people who are being held back. Phase one, on understanding the current state of the operations and culture at Franklin County, at our four Franklin County Health and Human Service agencies. That includes dozens of meetings, interviews, and assessments with our staff to better understand business operations. So basically what we're looking at, a lot of our agencies were established 20, 30 years. I believe that Franklin County Office on Aging just celebrated their 30-year anniversary. These agencies were established 30, 20, 15 years ago. And when they were established to function and operate for the particular population that they service. No, I don't think at the time in understanding futuristically that a lot of our residents were going to have to interface with multiple agencies, and we've operated like that for several years. So now what we're trying to do is take a piece of each agency and put it into one building, because the way we see it is you don't buy your peanut butter from one grocery store and then run over to another grocery store to buy your jelly. You get everything under one house. So as we worked with our contractor to understand what our current business processes were, to eliminate a lot of the transactional process so that we could be more transformational, we understand that there was technology, policy, and other issues that we need to really figure out over the last 30, 20 years, how we can challenge, particularly in the area of data and communications. So ACS provided a comprehensive report of findings and began developing us with a framework for aligning tables of operations for all of our agencies. We needed all of this to develop a real scope of work for later implementing phase of the project. This resolution will authorize us to enter into a new agreement with ACS to support phase 2 of this journey to reach the ideal line future state for all of our health and human service agencies. And for that, we need to look at redesigning our human service delivery model. Number 1, service delivery, keeping our residents at the forefront. Number 2, strategy and alignment. And number 3, operational and administrative services supporting all residents and community efforts through the alignment of support mechanisms such as fiscal, IT, HR, legal, and project management activities. This is a very extensive process, and over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been working with all the human service agencies, understanding and going over the human service methodology so that our business processes we can deploy behavioral economic strategies, looking at target universalism, and really trying to understand what guardrails that we need to put around our residents as they interface with our agencies, as well as looking at all of our contracts and figuring out where do they align on the human services value curve and how we can get to that generative model. This is, again, a very extensive process, and today we have Scarlett Belder with us from ACS, but I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge all of our health and human services leaders from Job and Family Services, Office on Aging, Child Support, as well as Justice Policy and Programs, our community partners, Bill Chilton, as well as our representatives from Centers for Healthy Families, in addition to our judges, Judge Brown and Judge Gill, as well as representatives from Child Support. We're trying to come together and create this arranged marriage in a very organized but chaotic way. And I guess we're gonna, fail forward positively, I guess. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna try to fail forward. But we're going to try to do it in a way that, again, we keep the residents at the forefront in giving them what they said they wanted during the Poverty Blueprint Plan.
Good morning, Commissioners. As Deputy Administrator Bivens indicated, my name is Scarlett Bowder. I'm President and Co-founder at Advocacy and Communication Solutions, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, along with, I'm sure, the other partners that have been involved in this project since day one.
Mr. President, thank you. I have a question. Just on where we are, I remember the last time you were in front of us, we approved a contract around $1 million or something like that. It might have been more. And I know Deputy County Administrator Bivens was like, we'll be back. And so where are we just in the process of, I think there was last time some surveys that went out. Your team did a lot of work talking to all of the agencies, understanding technology, all those things. So what phase are we in now, and then what can we anticipate moving forward?
So, thank you, Commissioner Crawley. So just to clarify, when we originally brought a multi-year project to you, it did hit in the category of $1 million, but we pared back on that to have this project address 1 year at a time. There was a desire to have much more information attaching the scope of work to specific deliverables. And when, I'll say our firm started a similar project with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation back in 2012 when they were trying to leverage the collective impact model across 6 different communities across the United States. And it was very difficult in that process to attach, to look at during year 1 at year 3, 4, or 5. So that's why we estimated that it might be that, but we clearly did not know on day 1 it wouldn't be, I wouldn't be truthful if I said on day 1 we could say, yeah, this is where we're going to be at the end of year 3. So we want to make sure we know what the landscape looks like in year 1, which is what we did, which I can go into. This year, so now that we know what the landscape looks like, what agencies are doing, how they're operating, what kind of contracts they're entering into, how many contracts they're entering into, what partnerships do they have? Are those crossing over with other agencies? How are we purchasing things like paid media? Are we doing that separately, which we are? How are we communicating as an agency to the outside world? We are doing that separately as these agencies are established. So really trying to dig in and figure out not only what you're doing, but how you're doing it, and then bringing together the leaders of those agencies during year 2 to really figure out, okay, if we are all contracting a different way, we should probably have a unified contracting system, procurement system. If we are contracting as several agencies with a dozen of the same agencies for different but related items, we should probably have a better alignment on how we engage multiple stakeholders in the community. If there are things like calling centers that we're using, how are we better able to communicate? How are we better able to engage our staff at the county so they're cross-trained, so people don't have to wait as long on calls and things like that. So really trying to cross those through. So go ahead.
So,
Sorry.
no, I mean, we can talk more offline. And
Yeah.
so just high level, since you had scaled some things back, focusing on specific items and scope of work. We're now entering in year 2. Has the timeline changed? Have you, do we need to revisit that? And like, what can our neighbors in Franklin County expect?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so as far as timeline goes, I think this year, what we've outlined in the project for this year, and this would be the next 12 months because we're a little further into this year, is passing that baton to staff internally to take on the work. How will we do that? We would like to establish a cabinet of sorts that will drive the work, and that cabinet will be members of each of those Health and Human Services agencies that will take the plan that we're developing this year to drive the work. And that will be done in a couple different ways, which we can talk about in more detail. So to answer your question directly, I think we can expedite implementation in a way that we just didn't know what we didn't know last year. Meaning, as our firm has done this with other communities, we want to assess their ability to do it, and if they're ready and have the ability, the leadership from you all, the contractual flexibility to make some of these operational changes, we will pass the baton in full. I would love to do that by the end of this year.
Yeah.
But if I said I could predict that now, I would also not be truthful. But I would say within the next 4 months or so, we'll be able to say, okay, for year 3, we're passing the baton completely on, say, I'm just making this up for purposes of this conversation, on communication, media buys, and contracts. And there might be a few other things that need a little more tweaking or assistance or partnership, whether it be internally or externally. I'll give you an example on contracting. There are a few agencies that are ready to renew their system that they use, and there are others that are still under 5-year contracts. So when we talk about passing the baton, it's usually not in one fell swoop. I likened it to a dimmer switch instead of flipping a switch. Is that helpful?
So Commissioner, just really quick, so on a practical level, what we're doing is, as you know, the Job and Family Services, we're utilizing their buildings. So we have identified the Mount Vernon space as our initial location where we're going to test our housing all of our partners and our Health and Human Service agencies. We are just now designing where everyone will probably sit. And then in addition to where there's going to be some space, there's going to be some time we're going to need in order to bring in children's services in addition to the juvenile court. Because what we understand is at least 60 to 70% of the residents that we serve through our human service agencies interface with the juvenile court. So there's a phase in this. But in addition to what we're going to do brick and mortar, we're also developing with the mobile units. So once the mobile units are developed, the same services you can receive outside of our juvenile court and children's services that you can receive through the one door, you can receive mobilely through our mobile units as well. So this is going to take a while. So you'll have brick and mortar, and then you'll have our mobile units in order to receive our one door services across Franklin County.
Thank you.
Administrator Wilson?
Thank you, President O'Grady, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner Crowley. Is the technology linkage is planned within this scope of work to allow for there to be an ultimate amount of communication between our HHS agencies and the courts involved in this? Do we have that in the scope?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we do. And what we're working on now through Scarlett is working with our prosecutor's office on what is legal and what is admissible, and putting those things together, because through federal and state and local law, each of us are governed differently. So we're trying to sparse that out. We've given them what we're trying to do. They're advising us on how to move forward, working with our state, local, and federal partners.
Okay, yeah, that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
We're always trying to avoid putting 7 PCs and lining each person up to have to communicate in that fashion. My second question is, when we first ventured into this, particularly for the effort of communicating with each other, HHS agencies, and to look at their individual structure and climate and to bring about this alignment, we talked about you had a partner organization that worked. Are we to the point now where you will be working exclusively with the county as we advance to passing the baton to the agencies?
Yeah, are you talking about?
Clarity Solutions.
Clarity Solutions,
yes.
yeah, Clarity Solutions has a very specific expertise in the IT and work processes side. So the partnership will remain for this year between ACS and Clarity Solutions, but we are seamless. When we work together, when we communicate, there is no gap between those two firms. We've worked with one another for years, so we really are a true partnership in providing that service. But the baton, when I say the baton, when I mentioned the baton earlier, that includes Clarity Solutions. We are prepared collectively as both firms to pass that baton optimally by the end of this contract period of 12 months, understanding that there might be exceptions based on need. But when I look at year 3, on paper, it is really more of a technical assistance piece. How are you engaging? Are you running into problems? Are you running into barriers? How can we help you think through that instead of the very much heavy hand and involvement, both feet in, that we have right now?
And County Administrator, it is going to take some time to retrain staff on service delivery. When you've been with an agency for at least 10 years and your primary responsibility has been very transactional, you provide me with your documentation, I give you a service. We're now trying to train staff on being more transformational, asking those questions so that we can be more intentional about addressing root causes based on whatever the social determinants of health barrier that the family faces.
Okay. Lastly, of course, this is a great endeavor you all are venturing upon, which causes me great excitement. And with that to be said, I'd like all the members of the village that are been working with us to stand so we can see who all physically have been at the table. And when we open the doors for the first time at this pilot East Opportunity Center, who all will be there. I would appreciate if folks would stand, because you all have been working, I know from my communications with Deputy Administrator Bivens, you all have been working diligently to make this happen. Particularly the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court, I'm excited about bringing in an innovation reception center and a innovation center to be more comprehensive in our approach as far as intervention is concerned with our youth, because our youth in particular, we really want to use innovation and interventions to improve service delivery. Center for New Directions and Impact, our nonprofit partners, again, everybody in our HHS partners, the whole team here. It do truly take a village, and I want to thank each and every one of your individual efforts you have done to date to make this happen, because I'm really excited. I know we will be successful in doing this. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, and boss, just so you know, we've also are seeking some federal dollars to support the work as well. So, because we understand, we want to make sure that we are being intentional about looking out at outside funding as well, because we've never done this before. So we need as much support as possible.
And because we haven't done it before, we have the advantage of learning from those that are standing out now as best in class and be able to beat them.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh, our men's unit is going over there as well. I think they're in the room, so.
Are there any further comments or questions? Since there are none, move for passage of 501-23.
Second.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady. Resolution number 50123 has been adopted. Resolution number 50223, resolution approving a COVID-19 recovery grant agreement with the Urban Resurrection Community Development Corporation for summer youth enrichment programming in the amount of $50,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bart Logan, Assistant Director for Job and Family Services. Urban Resurrection Science, Math, Arts, Reading, and Technology, or SMART program, aims to engage TANF-eligible youth ages 5 to 13 through a host of different immersive learning experiences. So kiddos enrolls through this funding will have the chance for hands-on creative arts. They'll be going on field trips, participating in other recreational activities, all of which reinforce academic concepts. The program lessons also incorporate social emotional learning, and they provide career exploration opportunities while fostering other important executive functioning skills, things like conflict resolution, critical thinking skills. The SMART program will run through August of this year, and this funding will support 35 children. It supports goal number 11 of your Rise Together blueprint, which is around increasing the number of students at or near poverty level experiencing academic success. And pending any requests or any questions, we respectfully request for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 502-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 50223 has been adopted. Resolution number 50323, resolution funding the Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Emergency Rental Assistance Program in response to the ongoing rental crisis resulting from the public health emergency in the amount of $9 million.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Lauren Rummel, Director of Government Affairs and Ethics. The next several resolutions are with JFS and several community partners to continue the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, kind of part and parcel of the same effort. So I wanted to give a quick snapshot of the program to date across all the partners before we dive into the next chapter of the program through these proposed resolutions. So the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or ERA, was established by the Consolidated Appropriations Act, the federal budget of 2021, and the American Rescue Plan Act provided additional funding to continue the program. So Franklin County to date has received $38 million directly through the end of 2022. So not to date, I apologize, through the end of 2022. And JFS and other contracted partners have dispersed this funding in direct rent and utility assistance to our residents. During this time with that $38 million, we have collectively assisted over 9,100 households. And over 6,000 of those, or almost 2/3, had income at less than 50% of the area median income. For a family of four, that's about $49,600. So we're proud to share that our program has been recognized by our federal partners as a best practice, especially in the way we've braided funding and collaborated with the City of Columbus to get these resources to households that need them the most. And because of our good stewardship of these funds over the last 2 years, really excited to share that the U.S. Treasury saw fit to award us an additional $56 million in new and reallocated funds. So that's the focus of these next four resolutions. So these resources come at a time when eviction filings in the first half of the year are tracking higher than in the last 5 years, according to the Franklin County Eviction Monitor. And as the Community Shelter Board reports, that homelessness has increased year over year by more than 20%. So again, these next several resolutions propose continued action in this space. They do not allocate the full amount of funding that we were allocated in this next phase. Additional proposals from community partners are currently under review with you all. And so based on our data, this was a question that came up in briefing I wanted to address at the top. We were looking at the past couple of years and working with our partners on projections, and we estimate that the allocation proposed to you today would support over 7,000 households. So I'll turn it over to Bart to cover the first resolution.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren. Commissioners, when you stood up the PRC Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Emergency Rental Assistance Program, now about 2 years ago in June of 2021, this expanded program provided us with the flexibility to cover the cost up to 100% of arrearages, as well as 3 months of prospective rent for impacted families. And since that time, we've, just from the JFS side of the ledger, have dispersed over $12.7 million in rental and utility assistance to help keep over 2,200 families in their homes. But we do know Franklin County is a majority renter county, and we know that for low-income renters, Most of them are housing cost burden, meaning they're paying over 40% of their income toward their housing costs. Lauren mentioned as well the stats that we heard from the Community Shelter Board released earlier this month of the long-term impacts of the pandemic, as well as the shortage of affordable housing in our community appear certainly to be driving numbers in the wrong direction. And that's why this is so vital. This resolution would allocate $9 million of those emergency rental assistance funds that you mentioned to support our PRC ERA, Emergency Rental Assistance Fund, which will allow us to keep using one of the best tools we have for homelessness prevention in our toolbox. The additional funding will be available through December 31st of 2023 or until it is an expense. We estimate that this funding will help serve approximately or upwards of 2,000 families. I also want to note that just for those that may be viewing or watching online, if you know somebody who is housing insecure and want to take advantage of applying for PRC ERA, it's easy to do. Just head to jfs.franklincountyohio.gov/PRC, where we have step-by-step instructions. In terms of eligibility, reminder, you need to have at least one minor child or pregnant person in the household to qualify for PRC ERA, but there are additional rental assistance resources, including through partners like Impact and others, that will be receiving disbursements today that are also available at rental614.com. And pending any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval.
Commissioner.
President O'Grady, if I can, I have a comment more than anything, based off of what we just did with Scarlett and the one-door model, and understanding that the evictions that are being filed in this county right now, the numbers have surpassed what the numbers were in 2019. Isn't that correct? So we know in a time that we have had an influx of dollars, federal dollars and local dollars, going to making sure people have a safe and stable place to live, that they can keep a roof over their head, that something is going on. And so I want to just highlight something that Deputy County Administrator Bivens said, that about the staff and going to the one-door model and removing barriers for people who are entering our agencies, that we have to have staff that ask those questions to, really get at the heart. And I think I said this to you when you came to my office, Lauren, to brief me, like, what is that underlying issue that most of the people that we're seeing with the eviction filings are like at 50% AMI or somewhere around there, like the income level is very low. So they are already normally having a relationship with one of our health and human service agencies, but what's that underlying issue that is going on here in the county? And I think the only way that we can really understand, outside of doing some surveys, which a lot of it can be a transient population, is training our staff to really ask those probing questions to the extent that our neighbors are willing to share. But we're here to be a support for them, to really figure out how can we best support them in, not just stabilizing them, because this is a Band-Aid, right? This is like right now, we need to help them. But what is the long-term impact, and how can we really make sure that our residents are thriving and not just surviving, that they're not still seeing that they have more month than money, right? And that they're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, and having to make those hard decisions between lights on, roof over their head, and then food on the table. And so what I want to highlight is, yes, we got this $9 million that we're getting ready to do right now, but there's still so much work to be done to make sure that that our residents, I hate to say residents, our neighbors, can be on level footing and move up an economic mobility ladder. So.
Absolutely, Commissioner. One of the things I do want to highlight, while it is just a fraction of it, we also have our ongoing research where we are working with JPAL at MIT, and this is specifically around eviction prevention. So we're doing a study with them that is looking into, with experts from UC Irvine as well as Tennessee, that looks at doing a randomized trial of recipients who receive our PRC emergency rental, and then also are receiving eviction prevention workshops through one of our community partners at Community Mediation Services, to really determine the efficacy and seeing if we're seeing better outcomes, people that are not coming back for additional emergency REI or other needs because of those workshops and other supportive services that are being paired. So it is absolutely something that is front of mind for us.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
That's
we're
why I wanted
also
to make
looking
sure
at
that-
policies
Mhm.
that who is not benefiting from this, right? Many times when you look at our policies, and this is what our human service agencies have been challenged with. When you look at our policies, on first glance, you think they're primarily just for women and children. Although we understand that's the largest population that utilizes, we are locking out men as well. So, and then figuring out, do we need to change the language, add a comma, put a period? What do we need to do to let everyone understand, in addition to connecting residents, neighbors, to those, those generational programs that we believe change the trajectory of families, women in tech, building futures, driving futures. So I'm just not going to connect you to PRC. What I'm going to do is transformationally change your life by connecting you to something that's going to put you in a different economic trajectory.
Absolutely.
Mr. President, may I jump in here? Yeah, the only thing that I'd add, I think, Bart, you really touched on it in the way I was hoping to hear all day today, which is really looking at outcomes. You know, how do we get families to be sustainable beyond the assistance and resources that we provide them? I think it's great that we can coordinate and strategically locate our resources so that people have easier access to them. But the real measurement of our work is how many people we're able to put in on a sustainable path. And, you know, I'm thinking specifically of Benefits Cliff folks. I'm thinking, and I've got 10 examples of constituents that work here at the county, you know, and we've had that issue with. And so, you know, I'm thinking Benefits Cliff, I'm thinking as Deputy Administrator Bivens indicated, men who oftentimes fall out of the qualification for various reasons, and right, wrong, or indifferent, we still have to account for these residents. And so what I'm hoping that maybe I challenge the director and the directors of the various agencies to do is I'd like to see tracking information on what the return on our investment is. You know, how are we reducing the numbers, not because of verification disqualifications, but are reducing them because, as DAC Bivens indicated, because they're now working in tech, or they're now working as a truck driver, or they're now doing some job that they're allowed to, or they're able to sustain their family needs with. And so that's what I'm really interested in. And I'm gonna maybe push on you all a little bit harder this coming year to produce that kind of data and information. I think the plan is good and the strategy is good, but I want to dig in a little deeper to the data in terms of rolling folks off and where they're going. The final thing I'm going to throw in there is, so I'm just finishing the Affordable Housing Task Force for NACO, and one of the things that, you know, we've recognized that counties typically don't have a real heavy impact in providing housing. You know, cities differently, the last point I'm gonna make, I promise, cities differently control land use mostly. They get to do zoning and they can do planning and that kind of things. We don't really, as a county, we have that in unincorporated areas, but not so much in, you know, the county is mostly Columbus, you know. And so thinking strategically about how to connect those dots. And it's, I see Jim Schimmer shaking his head. It's not simply about funds and financing. Sometimes it's even strategic ways to connect the dots. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to go a step further in that realm. And I want to talk more about that, but I feel I know we've got this, what's it called? The CIT, was it what's called? This data? CIT. CIE, thank you. I know we've got that kind of coming along, but that data is crucial to our strategic decision-making going forward. And so the more that we can see, the better decisions that we can make and not make them in a vacuum. So I think it's all good stuff, but the data, I think, is something that I'd like to zero in on a little bit more in terms of outcomes.
Well, if I may, Mr. President, there was a request made in November, if you remember, when we had a retreat with Job and Family Services. So we're talking about housing right now because we got this $9 million ask, but remember, we had asked for data, even when it came to our Medicaid recipients, like how many people have been on Medicaid, like the years, right? Who are the people who continue to revolve through the doors? Like, the data has to be disaggregated. So that's how we get a better idea of like where people are falling through the cracks, and then being able to have real conversations with individuals as they're asking for PRC, SNAP benefits, Medicaid. Like, we need to have more granular data. We haven't gotten an update from that request that was put in November when we had the retreat, and so it's just crucial to policymaking and decision making, and so I just wanted to underscore that ask is still out there.
Absolutely, and we're running into a bit of technology limitations through the Ohio benefit system, but putting together a churn KPI, specifically looking at those, and then being able to drill into, okay, who are those people that we're having on as a result of churn from turnover from programs, is one of the projects that our STAR team is working on right now. That request also remains front of mind.
And Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crawley, thank you for your comments, and thanks for reminding me about that too, about that request back then. But I think that's why I have so much angst with these resolutions, and it's not that I don't support them. I said that in briefing. I very much support them. But when you've got a lot of micro sort of plans and strategies going, it's hard to keep up with where our bigger push is. And I think the data, and I think this BOC in particular, more maybe than ever, is zeroed in on data and information. And I think it's helpful for us to, as we make other decisions, we've got a budget process coming up soon, and it's really helpful to have data and information. And I'll close with just saying that I think even in this next budget process, I would like to zero in more on data and outcomes, because then it's like in the business world, you invest where you're producing the most return. And so I want to be able to see those and then connect the dots so that, we can do more of that. We want not less, want to do more and really try to maybe address some things that are becoming more and more, are growing as Central Ohio grows. So this is great work, and I don't want to take that away from me, but the team, I think this is great thinking. At the same time, we want to zero in more on the data, and we've been asking for it, and it may not be a snap of the fingers and you get it. We understand that, but it's helpful as we think more deeply and strategically about this work. We've been at this for a long time, and I know we made progress, but I want to see it in the data too, and so this definitely isn't, we're definitely not doing the same things we did several years ago, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the data just would tell us a little more. And even if we needed to get some outside resources to help us with that I'd be excited to see something like that.
So, Commissioner, I'm glad you asked that. I was going to pose to all of the commissioners if there's an opportunity to afford us some needed resources in order to do that. And there, no, seriously. No, I know Commissioner Grady's like, no, hear me. No, here we
walk right
So
through
some needed resources, because a lot of the data we don't own from the state, right? That's why we have to have legal backing in order to assist us. The other thing is, when you look at, for instance, Director Linda Boom's SNAP population, 60% of her SNAP population are seniors and children, right? If we're able to track those seniors and figuring out how many of those are in kinship, how many of those and who are they, then we can put target universalistic approaches around those families. So as those kids grow up, they're not growing up in impoverished families, but we do need resources and people who understand and challenge the state on being able to give us access to data so that we can give you the reports that you need, because I think we all want to be able to do that versus just counting things. We don't want to count things. In addition to, if you all see communities from across the country that are going to grow to 3 million people, these numbers are going to increase. Regardless, they're going to increase because we have so many people coming in. If you see other communities across the country that's able to track it, please direct us to those resources. But if you have opportunity to give us resources to do that, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Gray is giving me the high sign. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 503-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 50323 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. The Board of Commissioners,
Resolution number 50423, resolution authorizing a grant agreement with Impact Community Action to provide rental and utility assistance to residents in Franklin County in the amount of $22 million.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Lauren Rummel, Director of Government Affairs and Ethics. This resolution authorizes a funding agreement with Impact Community Action to provide rent and utility assistance to Franklin County residents. It is again supported by ERA funds. Impact Community Action has experience in identifying solutions to housing challenges faced by Central Ohio residents and has demonstrated the ability to distribute this ERA funding in compliance with Treasury requirements to households that need it. Here with us today, I would invite Bo Chilton, Chief Executive Officer, and Shamika Smith, Vice President of Housing Programs with Impact Community Action, to share more about this work.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administrators. Since 2019, when we had a budget of $250,000 for emergency rent assistance and served 300 people in all of 2019, since June of 2020 to present day, we've served over 50,000 households and distributed over $150 million to keep people stable in their homes. That in and of itself, to scale up to that level in such a short period, is a wonder in and of itself. But to do it in the pandemic, when we were plagued by COVID, we had people who were going out, half of our staff, being able to do that and to partner with JFS, with Legal Aid and other partners to keep people safe in their homes was tremendous and significant. The thing that I heard you talk about, Commissioner Boyce, is how do we now go beyond just the Band-Aid approach of providing rent assistance? Of course, we need that so that our homeless shelters are not being flooded, so that people have the stability of housing. But the real task is how do we help move people towards self-sufficiency? One of the unique things about this program that was significant for us is the ability to pay 3 months future rent. Okay, so when we can pay 3 months future rent, now people have the time to get off the hamster wheel and actually work with us and other partners to get the skilled trades, to get the skills that are needed to be able to get a family sustaining wage. We have the time to be able to provide all of the supportive services so they get the training and then can become self-sufficient. So that is one of the things, and I know that's the way in which Success Bridge is also set up so that housing is provided, they have access to workforce, they have access to post-secondary education. That's how we move people towards self-sufficiency. That's one part of the equation. The other part, though, as you alluded to, is understanding the data and being able to track people. I will tell you my greatest challenge, and if you all can help us figure this out and cut through the bureaucracy, my greatest challenge is that we have 29 different funding sources and 20 different data systems. And those data systems will not talk to one another. We have to have a CIE. We have to have a data system that will allow us to see across the county who's working with a particular person and how do we collaborate and not duplicate. That has to happen. So the CIE is a step in the right direction, but also getting access from other data systems, whether it be the state, the county, and others, to make sure that those systems are talking so that we can see in real time what's happening with the people that we serve. So thank you for the $22 million. I will say it has been a pleasure working with the city and the county to get access to those dollars. As many people will note, across the state, there were times that there were places across the state that had trouble distributing the dollars, getting the dollars out to the people that need it. That is not a problem that we had here in Central Ohio. With all of the dollars that were allocated to us, we were able to expend it and get it to the people that need it. In addition to that, we were able to capture more reallocated dollars. One of the big reasons why people are asking the question of the $158 million that was clawed back from Department of Treasury from the state, over 100 million of that came to Franklin County. A lot of people are asking questions about why did Franklin County get so much of the money between Franklin County and the city of Columbus. And part of that is because we demonstrated effectiveness. We worked with the city and the county the first time on ERA to get some reallocated dollars of $20 million, $10 million to the state and the county. We were able to distribute that to the people that needed it within a 3-month period, and that set us up to then be eligible for such a large windfall of dollars that will keep us with a robust program. That is critical because a lot of these dollars are drying up. You have a lot of people at the state who feel like the pandemic's over, pandemic relief should go back. We want to force people back to work. However, that's very short-sighted because now we can use these dollars to maintain a robust program and strategically help people get back to work by making sure that we have the infrastructure of supportive services. I want to also allow Shamika to say a few words. She is the one who's on the front lines doing all the work. I get to talk about it, but she's the one doing the real work.
Again, greetings and good morning. Thank you to President O'Grady, Commissioners Boyce and Crawley, colleagues in the Social and Human Services, and each of you. Thank you to Bo, our CEO, for believing in me and showing what service in action looks like. Thank you, Lauren, and for those that have assisted to make this happen. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve our neighbors in Franklin County. I know you've heard this before, but I want to say it again. Impact's mandate is to fight poverty. Each day we have over 100 individuals and families that come to Impact because they have a need. That need could be skills training, job training for a clean energy or a green job, youth programs, workforce development, our CDL program, the Otto Beatty Jr. Men's Shop, other supportive services, utility, and rental assistance. Bo has told you that since the pandemic in 2020, Impact has served over 50,000 households with just rental assistance. With the rise in cost to maintain a household, there are families that would not have been able to stay in their homes without rental assistance. We're talking about families with 2 incomes, families with school-aged children, single fathers, families with an older adult aging in place, and families that make $50,000 a year. Families with 1 emergency and 1 crisis. Without emergency rental assistance, these households would have had to choose between food, medical bills, transportation, and childcare. We continue to see that our neighbors are struggling with being able to live where they work. We also continue to see a rise in evictions. Rental assistance is an intervention that works, and our community has seen the benefits in real time. While we understand that this is not a permanent solution, Impact is prepared to provide linkages to services and additional supports that will strengthen households as they work to achieve self-sufficiency. In collaboration with rental assistance, we need businesses and employers, policymakers, and community members that continue to advocate for the simple adage that housing is a human right. Thank you for your continued partnership and collaboration. Impact stands ready to serve.
Okay. The only thing I'll say is, Bo, are you on the CIE?
I am. I just joined the CIE.
Committee. Okay, great,
Yep.
great, because that's going to be helpful, and I think you're right about the data. So, if there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of
504.
504. I already turned my page. 504-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 504-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 505-23, resolution authorizing an amendment to the grant agreement with the Homeless Families Foundation to provide rental and utility assistance to households as part of the Resiliency Bridge Pilot Program in the amount of $2,237,155.89.
Thank you. Good morning again, Commissioners. As mentioned, this is an amendment to the grant agreement with the Homeless Families Foundation in support of Resiliency Bridge, and we do have representatives from the organization, so I will be brief on my program summary. But this is a program that is unique in the way it blends this housing assistance with workforce development services. The resolution will allow Homeless Families Foundation to continue without interruption the program for additional cohorts. Here with us today, we have Melissa Humbert Washington, Vice President of Programs and Services, and Carly Boos, Executive Director of the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, to share a little bit more about the program and answer any questions you might have.
Good morning, President O'Grady, County Commissioners. My name is Carly Boos. I'm here representing the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio. I want to begin by expressing our deepest thanks for your support of this program. We've accumulated a lot of successes over the last year, and those really are attributable to your partnership and all of the support that we've received for the Resiliency Bridge project. As you likely know, in April, Franklin County residents were more likely to be evicted than they were to buy a home. In fact, we've now had a record 9,500 evictions filed this year alone. Yet at AHCA, we know that blending affordable housing with high-quality education can help people move themselves out of poverty, and Resiliency Bridge is one powerful iteration of this model. The program attacks the paper ceiling problem, wherein a worker has the skills and the desire to advance their careers, but they don't have the credentials to take that next step. And everyday living costs, especially the increasing unaffordability of housing, is standing in their way of getting that career certification that they need to grow. Resiliency Bridge interrupts this poverty cycle by linking lower-income Franklin County residents with stable housing and workforce certifications to facilitate upskilling into high-pay, high-demand jobs. In doing so, it converts housing from a barrier to a launching point for economic mobility. This is accomplished through two critical components of the program. The first is the power of public-private partnerships. Resiliency Bridge was born through the help of JPMorgan Chase. It took its first steps because of the support of your office as well as the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and it has grown into the force that it is through the courageous leadership of Home for Families as well as the Ohio Means Job Center. That cross-sector partnership continues to be essential. But secondly, Resiliency Bridge achieves efficiency and connectivity through a systems alignment approach, which taps into existing human infrastructure services. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we are able to establish formal relationships with dozens of nonprofits to offer the kind of robust wraparound supports that are needed for professional advancement. During the first phase of the pilot project, we expect to help over 55 workers and their families enter stable, high-paying professions. These families began their journey with us with a median income of $300 per month. Think about that. They're on track in just a few short months to be earning 10 times as much immediately upon graduation, with a pathway to six-figure careers in many cases. With this new investment, we plan to expand the opportunity to another 100 families throughout the community, helping not just our residents, but the employers and the workforce needs of Franklin County as a whole. At AHCA, we further recognize that rental assistance funds are limited. But by using these resources to help people pull themselves up, the impact of these dollars will last for generations. Again, I want to thank you for your consideration and support. Melissa and I are both happy to answer questions you may have.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 505-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 50523 has been adopted. Resolution number 50623, resolution amending a grant agreement and authorizing a new grant agreement with the Legal Aid Society of Columbus to provide legal assistance to tenants facing eviction in Franklin County in the amount of $500,000.
Thank you, Commissioners. This last ERA-related resolution on your agenda authorizes a funding agreement with the Legal Aid Society of Columbus. Under this agreement, legal aid would assist tenants facing eviction with legal services to effectively utilize the ERA funds that are available to protect their legal rights and to ensure adequate representation in the court system to prevent eviction. Again, this is supported with ERA funds, and I'd like to invite Kate McGarvey, Executive Director, to share a bit more about your work and answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you, Lauren, and thank you for commissioners for the opportunity to speak this morning. As you all know, the Legal Aid Society of Columbus is a nonprofit organization that provides civil legal aid and advocacy to overcome unfairness and injustice, to reduce poverty and increase opportunity. In 2022, our office helped 25,000 people. 11,000 of those were children, 22% of those reported having a disability, and 21% were seniors. Our services include a broad range of substantive areas: domestic, benefits, education, consumer, reentry, and what we're here to talk about today, which is housing. Since the inception of the Tenant Advocacy Project in 2017, we've expanded our capacity to serve tenants facing eviction with a service model that provides direct help at eviction court each morning. Despite our contact information appearing on all of the eviction summons, many tenants facing eviction are not aware that there may be free representation available to them. The presence of multiple attorneys at court, ready and able to aid every day, has greatly expanded tenant access to legal representation. As large cities across the country move towards the right to counsel in evictions, this provides a local model for meeting tenants facing evictions where they are, at eviction court. It also provides a setting where we can work with our community partners, including impact and community mediation services, to provide those wraparound services to tenants in eviction. Excuse me. Since the beginning of the pandemic, in March of we have represented more than 6,500 families facing eviction in Franklin County. Many of those instances, we were able to get the evictions dismissed or prevented. For tenants who were represented, they paid an average of $465 less than unrepresented tenants. If you had a representation for each of that would be about $4 million in reduced charges. And when move-out agreements ended up having to be the option on the table, represented tenants got 12.5 more days to move out, which can be a life-changing difference in terms of the ability to get stable housing that you're able to move into. An analysis of our previous client data shows that about 25% of tenants served by the Tenant Advocacy Project live in Franklin County zip codes outside of the city of Columbus. 60% of all of our tenants who requested assistance for evictions self-identified as Black. In contrast to only 24% of Franklin County residents who are Black, meaning that Black tenants are disproportionately summoned to eviction court. Children are also disproportionately impacted by evictions. As you've heard from multiple other folks, these numbers have just continued to increase with record highs this past quarter of evictions. Each eviction complaint leaves the family at risk of homelessness, increases the chance that children's education will be disrupted with school changes, and adds new barriers to transportation to work and childcare access. In addition to increasing family stability across the board, eviction prevention representation is significantly less expensive to our community than homeless shelter and rehousing costs. With eviction prevention, we can represent a family for a few $100s, depending on the length of the case, as opposed to thousands if a family has to go into shelter and to be rehoused. However, our capacity to serve tenants is restricted by the number of attorneys and staff available on any given day. Franklin County has previously supported our eviction prevention work, and through this ongoing financial support, the county will increase our ability to provide legal representation to tenants on the day of their eviction hearing. This funding provides for 5 full-time equivalent attorneys in Franklin County for tenants facing eviction. Thank you for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
I think so. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 506-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 50623 has been adopted.
All right, justice policy and programs.
Resolution number 50723, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Administrator to approve subgrant awards and contracts for services with Columbus Public Health and Franklin County Public Health for harm reduction services related to the FY 2022 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Program grant in the amount of $677,753.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melissa Lipson, Chief Operating Officer with the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Commissioners, in collaboration with both public health departments, our office applied for and we were successfully awarded an FY 2022 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Grant in the amount of $1.2 million. We are seeking your approval today of 2 sub-grant awards, one to the Columbus Public Health in the amount of $508,332 for 29 months, and the second to Franklin County Public Health in the amount of $169,421 for a period of 12 months. It should be noted Franklin County Public Health has opted to receive their sub-awards split out over a 3-year period. Both partners plan to hire additional harm reduction staff and deploy 4 harm reduction vending machines in strategic locations throughout Franklin County, including one at Safer Stations, which is located on the west side, and once built out, one at the Fisher Road Rapid Resource Center Jail. Vending machines will include safer sex kits, naloxone, and fentanyl test strips, along with pregnancy kits and basic wound care. We anticipate upwards of 4,125 residents will access supplies over the course of the grant program. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of these two sub-grant awards.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 507-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 50723 has been adopted. Resolution number 50823, resolution authorizing a professional service contract agreement with Alyssa Noel for peer support and case management services for justice-involved residents served through the Franklin County Rapid Resource Center in the amount of $25,000.
Commissioners, in anticipation of the second Rapid Resource Center coming online in the fall of 2023, we will be bringing on additional peers to begin the onboarding process. Ms. Alyssa Noel is seeking a position with our office as a peer support specialist, and we will issue an award if so granted in the amount of $25,000 for reentry navigation and peer support through the Rapid Resource Center. Ms. Noel is an experienced drug and alcohol counselor and has a long history of working with the justice-involved population, both in a corrections and community-based setting. Funding to support this contract will be from an FY 2022 Healing Community Study grant. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this contract.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 508-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady? Resolution number 50823 has been adopted.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thank you. Purchasing Department.
Resolution number 50923, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $3,513,702.19.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing, and joining me this morning is Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This resolution requests your approval of 115 purchase orders for which the County Auditor has pre-certified available funding. Tamika has the supplier diversity data for this week. Good morning, Tamika.
Good afternoon. 18 of the purchase orders being presented today are awarded to small emerging businesses totaling $1,725,649.94. 2% is being awarded to small emerging businesses, 3% to minority-owned businesses, and 11% to women-owned businesses. Once approved, 5 agencies have provided equitable and inclusive opportunities to small businesses this week. These agencies include Court of Common Pleas, Job and Family Services, Domestic Relations and Juvenile Court, Public Facilities Management, and Sheriff's Office. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 509-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 50923 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 51023, resolution approving the donation of a permanent easement to the City of Columbus for purpose of constructing a public shared use path and authorizing the county administrator to execute the deed of easement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jesse Armstrong, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. This resolution would authorize the donation to the City of Columbus of a permanent easement for the purpose of constructing a public shared use path, which will connect Clinton Como Park and Northmore Park, located in the City of Columbus and Franklin County. This easement will go over the county's property located along the Olentangy River just south of North Broadway Avenue. Both the Franklin County Engineers Office and the Prosecutor's Office have reviewed the request and recommend approval. In addition, the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office has reviewed and approved the easement instrument that is subject of this resolution. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 510-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 51023 has been adopted.
Madam Clerk, do we have any journalizations?
Yes, we have one. Resolution number 44523, which was adopted by the Franklin County Board of Commissioners during general session on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023, contained a Scribner's error. The agency RSM US LLP was listed in the body of the resolution, but the contract with this entity was not attached at the time of passage. All the contracts in the resolution are the same with the exception of the name of the entity. This journalization serves as notice that the contract with RSM US LLP has been approved to the Board of Commissioners has been provided to the Board of Commissioners for approval, consistent with the requirements of Resolution number 44523.
Is there any media on either in person or online that would like to speak to commissioners or anybody else? All right, hearing none, that concludes our business for June 20th. Have a great rest of your week. There is a ditch petition hearing that will start in a few minutes.